morning.
Hi, Bob.
Greetings.
Greetings to you as well.
Thank you.
Do you have a hard time understanding the sermons?
It's a struggle, yes.
Well, maybe I'm too close. What is that?
Did you get a reply on your email to Miltel?
Well, sort of.
No, I didn't get a reply on mine, so since I talked to you, that's it.
Well, here's what he wrote.
Is Dan here today?
I think he's just on vacation. There's nothing on here on the road district. You know that. Did you see this?
Yeah, well, this was all staged. So that's what he wrote back, which I dispute.
Who wrote this?
Well, tell. I'm gonna need that bag when we go into that room. We'll sit next to each other.
Morning, Jim. What's Dan?
Need to do the same because the still in it.
Okay. Well, that'll be fine. When's he come back?
Through it
When's he come back?
next week.
Okay. When? We can get started.
All right, it's 9:30. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, first thing would be public comment. Is there any public comment on the phone? Debbie, is there any public comment on the phone? One last call. Any public comment? Okay, I'm not hearing any.
You need to call the roll, and then we also need to have a sign-in sheet.
Comment from the phone? Any public comment from the phone? Any call-ins, public comment? Hearing none, you're okay, Craig.
Okay, thank you. Okay, roll call. I'll make the roll call. Bob Anderson?
Here.
Mike Ragstra.
Here.
Craig Adams here. Steve Beer.
Yes.
And Stan Wojcicki.
Here.
Do you have a sign-in sheet? For the board members for the meeting?
I assume Dan's not here again?
He was gone for 2 weeks on family business. He'll be back next week. Give me 1 second. Did we put one out up here?
We can just do one by hand, all right?
I have it.
Oh, you got it?
You know what? I don't know. You make a piece, you got a piece of paper, we can just text it. Oh, Tim's got one here. How about that?
Just date it.
Just pass it around.
Today's the 26th, right?
Yes.
Correct.
I make a motion that
Jim Nortel will take notes for this meeting.
I'll second that motion. All those in favor, so go by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any nays? Nothing. Okay, so Jim will do that. Jim doesn't have the minutes from last meeting done yet, apparently.
He will have those done and these done for our next meeting.
So we'll approve them both at the next meeting.
Who does the approval of the minutes of our last meeting?
We do.
No, I'm talking about our April, or our May meeting. Who votes on the acceptance of those minutes?
Thanks, Dan.
People who weren't there?
Oh, yeah. Jim, can you answer that? Because
The board would just approve them as prepared. They weren't there for it, so they don't know if it happened or not, so they would approve it just as prepared.
never mind that. We got
Is that really right?
Pardon me? What do you mean?
We got to take it.
How can they approve something they don't have any knowledge of?
They're being presented with a set of minutes, whether they're true or not true, but the clerk prepared them, and they would approve them as prepared.
Well, as I understand other boards, they send it out to the last board. If they have any changes and corrections that have to be made.
Yeah, but that board wouldn't approve it, though.
But they still send it out to us, and it's part of the record, right?
That's fine. They can do that.
So is that going to be done, Mr. Chairman?
Sure, that's what you'd like.
Isn't that what's always done?
No, it hasn't been in the past. The new board, well,
I guess what has the clerk done in the past?
in the past, it was just approved by the new board as presented, I believe, so.
I will put a note in these minutes that the clerk is to then send these minutes out, or the last set of minutes out, to this board for review prior to adoption.
Okay.
And then if there are any corrections, we can post them.
Let the clerk know then of the corrections.
Okay. We're moving along. Review and discuss township budget. So, where do we want to go, guys? Been for most of it. We made the updates from the last time we were here. And they were made in a reddish color.
On page 1, we have $601,996 in red and $498,551 in red for the assessor. What were the figures before that?
That was the changes that were made in the assessor's budget that we made, so they're going down.
Okay, I just was wondering what they
I don't
owe.
have what proof that I believe that. And red does not mean negative in this case, red just means fourth draft.
Yeah,
We don't like to use red, but it's hard to see on it now.
that's fine with me. Makes it stand out.
I thought going back to page, which we mark as
It should be marked
page
on-
2,
Okay,
the 2,000 on the bus vouchers, that should be under electors. They're running the program now, right?
well, I would agree with you, but I believe you were the one at the last meeting that wanted to move.
No, I wanted it to show up on somewhere, and it wasn't. It was,
So, okay, someone asked them to be moved up there at one of our meetings, so we did.
but
I understand what you're saying, Steve. So we should move electors, bus fares, so we should move senior bus fares down to electric bus fares, right?
I think what it was that it was, can you please correct me if I'm wrong? I thought it was under some kind of miscellaneous income.
No, it wasn't. It was under electors, bus fares and electors bus vouchers, but someone at this meeting wanted it moved, so we moved it. But I would agree it probably should be under electors. Would everybody agree with that?
Well, yes, because we don't have a bus.
Right.
We don't have a bus program, so
Right.
particularly with electors.
There's a comment made at one of these meetings, so that's why it was changed. I don't know why or what the reason was, so we'll move it down. 1,600 to bus fares electors, right? And the 2,000 to bus vouchers. Everybody agree upon that? Okay. So we'll still put it, oh boy. All right,
Maybe there should just be an elector section for all the bus stuff.
there is. So that, right there, we show bus fares, electric bus fares, vouchers, electric, right? That would make sense to me.
I'm talking about as a separate section.
It is in your budget, you're under electors. Page 5. So it's all under electors there. And that's how the towns would like to see it, which makes sense.
Well, I'm talking about a separation from the cash revenue.
Well, it has to be shown somewhere, right?
Right, of course, it will be shown, but it's mixed in with all these
Well, this-
other cash revenues to the township. All I'm saying is it should be a separate section under cash revenues for electors, senior, just as you have it here, Senior Express,
Well, we have
on
it,
page 5.
but on page 2, it's bus fares, electors, bus vouchers, electors.
Right.
Right.
But,
So it's separated by the electors.
no, it's just denominated as electors, okay?
Okay.
You've got a separate section on page 5 for the Senior Express. And all I'm asking for is there be a separate section under cash revenues just for the electors. Otherwise, well, it's an inconsistent entry. It makes it hard to even see what's going on.
Well, you can see it says right here,
Yeah.
Steve, electors and electors on the page 2.
Yeah, and it's mixed in with,
Well, it is revenue that we have to show.
okay, why is senior programs in the middle of it then? Okay,
That's that in and out.
just separate it out.
I don't understand what you're asking me to do. It is separated out. I don't get it.
Just put something, just take everything with electors and quote in parentheses and put it, make a little space under federal and
Yeah.
state stimulus.
So what Steve's at, you see how you have senior program here?
Yeah.
Under that, maybe add elector programs as its own item, and then within,
Oh, you mean put them all together there is what you're saying.
and then underneath elector programs. So-
Right.
So what he's saying, you see how you have senior program? We're just gonna put another subcategory called elector programs, and then under elector programs, we'll have
It should be electors bus
fares
program.
and bus vouchers for electors.
It should be titled electors bus program.
Yeah, so,
Well, it says electors after it, same thing.
And then we can get rid of that whole line for senior bus grants.
You know, it might be just as simple as leaving a
Blank space between the electors bus
or you
and
can
everything
just
else.
make a category, elector bus
Would
program,
that do it,
colon,
Steve?
and then two.
Would that do it for you, Steve?
No, that's fine. So there's some
So,
So you're, Steve,
so instead of that.
so we take senior programs out of there, well, no, we can.
Okay, leave it there, but underneath it, put electors plus program.
Right underneath.
Uh-huh. And then indent the two that are following behind it, bus fares and bus vouchers, and then move the 1,600 and the 2,000 down to those two.
So basically, we're just adding in electors bus program.
Correct.
As a heading,
Correct.
Right,
colon,
Yep.
to account for the, you have,
For these two.
you have the cost accounting ledger on page 5, but it's hard to figure out.
okay, well, that's easy enough to do if that's what you're.
It's just a format.
It's just you're formatting it. So then we'll put bus vouchers and electors, bus vouchers, and bus vouchers, electors under electors bus program. Is that what you like? We'll put a subtitle in there.
Well, it should match what you got on page 5. Senior Express. Right?
So, well.
Or change Senior Express to bus program. But you can't have, I don't like the idea of the two different,
So instead of saying
Denominate.
Senior Express, say electors bus program.
Okay, we do that then, Steve, we'll make that electors bus
Make electors
program
bus program on the
on
top.
page 5.
well, that makes it a lot more comprehensible, right?
Okay. Yeah, I guess it does. For me, they're one and the same, but somebody else may not see it that way.
And we can eliminate senior bus grants.
So there's nothing in there anyways, it's just a category.
Right, so it's been eliminated by the
Okay.
electors overstepping their authority.
So take out senior bus grants, okay.
When are the electors gonna vote for a petting zoo,
I don't think they have authority to do that.
a township petting zoo? Yeah, they do have the authority to. For seniors only.
I don't think that's anywhere on the record.
I do have a comment on page 1, if you go to your page 1. What I'd like to see is a column called, right above the revenues, beginning balances. And then, so you'd have a beginning balance for town and GA, and then a total, and then I would like to see your revenue, maybe estimated revenue received, and I can give you that, estimated revenue received, so that your total revenue, so then you have your total revenue, so your beginning, and then your total, and then estimated expenditures, and then it would give your ending balance then. So instead of transfer from fund balance, just eliminate that item altogether. And so that you would have your beginning balance. And so let's just say your beginning balance is 1,760,000, whatever the number is. You'd have then beginning balance of whatever the number is, then your revenue instead of revenue, you'd say estimated revenue. Estimated revenue received, so that's 802. So then you'd have 1,760,000 plus your 802, then gives you your total revenue. So that would be 1,760,000 plus 802, so it'd be approximately 2.5, just for discussion. And then you'd have all these expense items that are down below, and then put one more line underneath, it would be ending balance. So you'd have an ending balance then. So you'd have your total less your expenses, and then you'd have an ending balance.
Okay.
Good suggestion.
Yeah, I was going to suggest a variant of that, Mr. Motella, but your idea is more inclusive about that. There's one additional problem with the very first page, and that's with the assessor. At 498,551. And that concerns Flo and perhaps Debbie McCredo. How much do they work?
The assessor.
And do things for the assessor?
Nothing.
Well, Flo's the HR person, right? All
Well,
those
because-
people come under her.
I just found out all she does is sign them up, and then each department keeps track of them. After that.
What do you mean each department?
In other words, the road district keeps track of all their own days off, things like that, and the other HR stuff.
So you're saying it's so minimal?
It's so
Shouldn't
minimal.
even be counted.
It shouldn't even be counted, as I found out, and I didn't realize. She just signs them up to begin with.
Well, that means there's virtually no contact then between Debbie and Flo and all the assessor people,
Pretty much, yeah.
and the assessor for that matter.
Yeah.
But yet Debbie does all the bills for them.
She does do the bills for them, but they're so minimal. It's 3 to 5 of them a month. You know, there's not much there. They track their own budget after the bills are entered.
So she prepares the spreadsheets for them too, right?
Prepares a spreadsheet.
Yeah.
Yeah, she does. It's automatic though. Once the bills are entered, it automatically goes in there.
What I'm trying to get at is what the true cost of
Right, I realize that, but
these
it's
different things are. And
it's so minimal, it's not worth tracking, I'm telling you.
So you're saying it's less than 5% of her time is
Yes,
spent on anything with the assessor's office?
yes, easily.
And Flo is even less than that.
Flow would even be less than that, yep. Shouldn't be much at all.
Well, then the way around that is to make an asterisk by admin and assessor and explain that in the budget. You can word it however you want, but there should be some reflection as to what's really happening. So the asterisk would be certain work is performed for the assessor's office by admin. On a regular basis. And I guess it theoretically goes to parks and facilities too, doesn't it? Because Debbie and Flo are doing stuff for that.
Yeah, same note there. It's minimal. Okay. So you like the same note there, Steve?
Yeah, well, it's just another asterisk, really, right?
Right. Oh, but you want me to put certain work is performed after it though?
Or however you wish it to read, certain employees under the township administration perform limited, well, how'd you say, Mr. Motel? Limited work for parks and facilities and assessor's office. Now, the other question is,
I didn't get that.
nobody from the assessor does anything for parks or admin, right? So it's a one-way street.
Yep. Okay. All right, we done with that page now?
Are we?
Everybody down with page,
The first page we're talking about, yeah, I have nothing to add to it.
All right, it's going to have the changes that Mr. Motel requested.
Steve, I see one more thing there you probably want to change. Senior Express, you want to call it electric bus program?
Yeah, if that's what we're doing throughout the rest of it, right.
Okay. Okay. Okay, page 2 we've already discussed. Page 3 we've been through pretty thoroughly already, I believe.
When do we actually get the replacement tanks? Do you know?
It comes at various times throughout the year, it comes on a monthly
Right,
basis.
so it hasn't come for our proposed budget year yet.
No, yeah, it has. Oh, for the next budget year? No, it hasn't. So that's got to be a total estimate. It comes, monthly, Steve. I don't know if it's every month, but it's pretty much every month. They might skip January, February, and then start after that. I don't know.
So do we need to put EST after that line, Illinois replacement tax S?
Well, these are all estimates. These are not, I don't think we do. They're all estimates. We don't know for sure.
Well, we know that there will be $750,000 taken from the property taxes, right? It's not going to wind up being more than that, is it?
It could come out slightly more.
It could actually come out slightly less.
Could come out slightly less too.
That's your estimated levy amount. That's assuming everybody pays.
But typically what happens is everybody doesn't pay, but then we get back paid from years before.
Yeah, that's true.
So if this was the Boeing Corporation, the property taxes would be split into property taxes received from
It's all,
the levy, and then the back taxes that we end up.
we don't know what those are going to be. We have no idea.
Well, but we do know what they were in prior years, so that would be the basis.
They're
for the
really,
estimate.
they're really insignificant, Steve, like $1,000, $2,000, if that.
Well, no, I would think it would be a lot more than that if you're
Not
doing
necessarily.
millions of dollars.
No, not necessarily.
Plus, yeah, right, that's why it all goes to the treasurer, I suppose.
Yeah.
It would be too difficult to figure it all out.
It would be.
How much is owed, but how do we know we're getting all our back years?
Oh, well, we're trusting the treasurer's office, or whoever prepares that.
The other thing that happens, if taxes aren't paid, then they go for sale. Most of the time, taxes are then bought at those auctions, and the taxes are then paid
Right.
at those auctions.
So when the treasurer gets the money on the back taxes,
Then they
they
list,
aren't really kept for all these entities, right? For the city of Mchenry County and blah, 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 for our portion of that
They
particular
have to
amount.
disperse, whatever they get, they have to disperse.
In the same, what, based on prior years levies or what? How do they disperse the, how can they figure out what the amount is to us?
Well, and that's what they do, for example, like, if there's delinquent taxes on a real estate deal, they figure out there's unpaid taxes, but 9 times out of 10, the taxes have been bought by somebody else, and those are monies that are coming in. So at the end of the day, relative to the units of government, those taxes have already been paid, because not the taxpayer paid it, but investor Stan has already bought the taxes, and those taxes those monies have already gone to the unit of government. It's just now Trustee Ver who needs to buy them back from Stan, and the county acts as the intermediary as far as handling those dollars and those equations.
Well, there's a 2-year gap on all that, right? So the property really does get sold for taxes.
It does, but Stan's already paid it, so the taxes, the unit of government's not out the money. It's just the property owner who hasn't paid it is now racking up interest and penalties, who will then, part of that money will go to Stan, who's invested into it, and the county, who's got their fees into it. But we as a body don't get extra money because of the taxes not getting defaulted, or getting defaulted.
Right, it's not really extra, it's what we should have gotten, and
Yeah, well, it's not extra.
it's so small, there's no interest on it and all the rest of it.
there's not much.
Okay.
You can see where we made the changes from last time we talked about that sheet.
Is there a contract for the senior services rent? A lease?
It's month to month.
And that goes to the food pantry too, right?
Correct.
So the recreation hall is what?
Recreation hall is the other side of the senior center.
Oh,
It's that, side where the pool table is, I don't know.
so why are we expecting to, this year, to make anything off of it when we haven't any other year?
Where's that, Steve? I can't-
$500 on page 2.
Page 2.
I'm just trying to come up with a realistic
Oh, I'm on page 2.
idea of where our revenue is coming from.
Well, it has been rented in the past. I guess we were just guesstimating that could be, but you're right, it hasn't been running for a few years, has it, according to this.
So that's for groups that are usually just given it, right?
If they're a nonprofit group, they're given it, but if somebody wants to have, they may want to have a shower in there, they're charged. So and we've been getting lots of requests for the hall all of a sudden again. People are feeling more at ease about doing things, I guess.
I'm wondering if we should have anything on that. Is it gonna be pushed more for renting because it's cheaper somehow than rent out this room?
Yeah, it is cheaper to rent out this room, yes.
Do people even know it could be rented?
Yeah, sure they do. They're told that.
Oh, when they go for the town hall rental, you say, we got this other thing?
Sure, we tell them what's available.
Well, if you're okay with that.
I'm okay with it, because I think there's a good possibility coming in this year. That's only gonna take like, I don't remember what the price is exactly, but if it's $100 a time, it's only gonna take 5 rounds.
But it's a cheaper alternative.
It's a cheaper alternative, yes.
And the other revenues, at 15,000 for last year's.
We got a rebate from a company because remember we approved putting in new fire panels because these were getting obsolete. But then once we had sent them a deposit, and then once we got further into it, we found out they'd have to replace all the wiring, and didn't make sense. So that's why there was money came back.
So was that a capital outlay on a prior year?
Correct. But it gets charged back to the line item where it came from.
And the township
So, but if-
doesn't qualify for any PPP.
No, because what I've looked at, Steve, is
Then how are they bragging about it in these other townships? I'm just trying to figure it all out.
well, maybe these other townships might have larger expenses. We didn't have that many expenses with the PPE. You can only,
Well, it's designed for payroll.
okay, wait a minute. I just heard about that. What they were just telling me. There was some note about it, but I don't know that we're getting anything because we didn't have anybody really affected here at the township.
So the interest income that we're expecting is $6,500 next year, this current fiscal year, based on how much money in CDs? Just a round figure.
$1.7 million maybe?
But yet
It's not all in CDs though. Some is the money markets, so which pays
a little more, right?
a little more.
Yeah, but at the levy meeting, we were told it wasn't even $1 million. It was like 800,000 on there. So where did that other money come from? When we cut the budget, when we cut the levy in December, we were told there's only enough money to run the township for.
It's on your balance sheet every month.
1.7 million.
It's a guesstimate. I'd have to go look exactly.
Could you have it by the next
But the
meeting?
1.4 million is what's in.
Whatever those amounts are, they need to be at the beginning balance on page 1.
Yeah, they'll be in it.
Right.
Right, so then you'll know. But
Well,
there's some money in our money market, our working
you
capital.
mean as a fund balance amount?
Yeah, so they need, so as of April 1st, 2021, which is the beginning balance of last year's ending balance, so this budget needs to include that beginning balance of the town fund, whatever that 1,760,000, whatever that number is.
Whatever it is.
And general assistance,
Right.
400 some thousand, so you, the beginning balance, you see what that exact number is. Now, that 1,760,000, is gonna be depleted, because instead of saying transfer from fund balance, which you're not really transferring it from a fund balance, you're just using the monies you have available.
So,
So that 1,760,000 is actually gonna go down, so whatever CDs you have, you're not gonna have 1,760,000 at the end of the year.
yeah, I understand that it's gonna go down by approximately that number that's in there.
Correct. So your CD amounts are, you're not gonna be able to keep CDs at 1,760,000, you're gonna have to drop your, whatever CDs you may have, to lesser amounts, because you're gonna be pulling money.
Oh, well, we don't have that many CDs, and most of it's in money markets, so it's not gonna affect the CDs out.
And I guess that's where I was, kind of, my point was going to, is that your interest is not gonna be 25,000, it'll be closer to the lower number that you have there, because of
Right.
the decreased dollars.
Correct. And that's what we guessed at, about what it is. You see, it was 6,900 this year. So we obviously lowered it based upon figuring it in there.
Well, then the interest income should be more. If you're getting over 1%, right?
We're getting about 1% in most things right now.
So it should be somewhere around 1,500. That means the prior year was wrong.
No, the prior year was not wrong. There may be some CDs that are a higher rate yet that haven't expired.
All right, what's the percentage of CDs versus money market? I'm not asking it to the hundreds and all that. Do we have half in money market, half in CDs?
No, as the CDs expired, I moved a lot of it to money market because it was a little bit higher interest rate.
Right, which is
We probably have-
prudent and wise.
Yeah,
Okay.
we probably have, I don't know, 3 or 4 CDs would be my guess. This is a guess.
Well, I don't really care about the number of CDs, I care about the amounts and what percentage they are of the total.
Right, I'd have to, well, yeah, I know what you're saying, I get you.
So vastly more money is in money market than CDs.
That's a correct statement.
So it's like an 80-20?
Yeah, that's probably fair to say. 80-20, 70-30, somewhere in there, 80-20, let's say.
And the CDs are all expiring,
They expire at different times.
but we're never really gonna go back to CDs, right?
Well, we could if rates go up. I don't know if they're going to, but
Well, then the money market will go up too. So the money market, you can always get in and out. There's no time limitation.
Correct.
Or penalties or anything else.
correct.
Yeah, I guess the board should have been watching this better over the course of the 4 years. Then we would have had a better handle for the levy. I mean, it's our fault too. Not just blaming
Well, it's on
the
the balance sheet.
supervisor.
It's on the balance sheet every month.
Well,
Shows right at the top.
it's, yeah, but we don't have any idea the rates that anything was invested in, or when things are due, or why decisions are made to cut one, not the other one. These are just blanket numbers
Well,
that,
it's based upon what usually is the best rate.
but there should be a substantially less amount for this. just something is off, what I'm saying. Either the amount of money really in these investments, which is really surplusage, is lower, or we should be expecting to get a higher amount from the interest income. If it's 1.4 or 1.7, then it would seem to me that the interest income is too low,
Well,
even at a 1% basis, right?
it may not all be 1%, they might be slightly lower in some cases. But what I'm trying to tell you is, look what we had last year, we had more money then, so,
Right.
and we're gonna have less money now, so it makes sense that it's going down.
Yeah, I know, but it should be down, it shouldn't be like pretty much the same because the interest rates are pretty much the same from last year. There should be a market differential between those 2 years, the actual last year and the proposed this year. Right?
Well, we're not gonna.
I'm just trying to make it.
I understand what you're saying, but we're not gonna spend it all at once, it gets spent slowly over the year, you know what I'm saying?
Well, that's the problem when townships overaccumulate, okay?
Correct, I understand.
And it was the policy of this board that we would get away from that.
Right, and we have.
Yeah, and we have. That first budget, that first budget, 2018-19, that budget was done by the prior board, right?
I believe it was.
Well, you were on the board then.
Yeah, it was. The first year, whatever year that was.
Okay. And I don't think I was on the board for the 1920 budget.
I don't think you were.
All right. There's nothing we can sell that we don't really use anymore for the township parks or anything.
Not at this time, no. And if we do happen to sell something, it has to go to an auction type thing, like eBay or something like that.
Isn't there like a threshold amount?
I'm sure there is, I don't know what it is off the top of my head.
Okay.
All right.
So, on page 3, personnel, everybody from the assessor's office is not on. No one from the assessor's office is in that, right? They're on,
On page 3, no, they're in
They're
their
on
own,
page
they're in their own budget that you already looked at.
okay.
They're on page 6.
What happens when IMRF is not included in the compensation for
It's not included for part-time people.
elected officials in their
It
in their
is,
benefits for the next term?
it is included in the benefits for IMRFs. You can't take that away.
Well, township boards have taken it away. Maine Township is a case in point.
Mr. Motel, can you comment?
Which line item?
So
He's talking about IMRF.
I don't believe IMRF is listed as a benefit when we pass the resolution for.
But you can't.
I'm not talking about the employees, okay?
Right.
They're all in. But
Once an elected official is in, they have to stay in. Now, you could limit it to new.
Well, I don't know if that's true. Each term stands on
Mr.
its own.
Motel, will you answer that question?
The IMRF.
We looked at that.
If we looked at that last time, the IMRF was excluded as a required amount. I don't remember off the top
No,
of my head.
no. If someone's in the program, they can't get out of the program.
That is a true statement.
Okay, that's what I'm trying to explain. Now,
Once you're in the IMRF, you're in the IMRF.
Right. So,
But you're not necessarily in the IMRF for contribution purposes by the governmental entity.
once you're in, you're in, Steve, or
No, nobody's talking about your vested interest in the IMRF that you've already had. All I'm talking about is the future for the next 4 years. So just, this IMRF,
Mhm.
it affects the road commissioner half, right? Or is he paying his entire IMRF? The way I look at this, we have a salary, therefore we're paying half of the road commissioner's IMRF out of the township budget.
That would make sense.
Okay, so it's just you and him, since Mahadi's on her own in another section of the budget.
And your
No,
employees.
all the employees.
Right, no, right, all the employees are in, so the only two people we're talking about are the road commissioner and the supervisor.
But the road commissioner actually could put all of his salary into the town budget. And if that would happen, I'm sure all the benefits would go that way too.
Right.
That would be correct.
He could refuse to pay anything out of his.
So he's actually taken some out. Maybe his budget will come in, he's not gonna do it this time, we don't know. He could come in with a budget, changing that. But we haven't seen that budget. But right now, and that's, when I looked in the past years to see what his salary is, I've always questioned it, but that's what I found out, is that the road commissioner does not have to take it out of his budget, he can put it all in the town fund.
So it's all done to the election of the roadway commissioner, who actually pays him? How can that be? Then he becomes why should the town pay it?
The statute says something to the effect that,
It's part of the mix-up of township records, Steve.
I'm not blaming you for any of them.
yeah, it's.
It doesn't make sense.
Just
I'm not
tell you,
saying it
the
makes sense.
statute says
It's terrible
something like-
things.
He-
All right,
we-
so
we
he can
have-
elect to do it, half and half.
Correct.
Is that the deal?
Correct.
So he can refuse it and take it all out of his salary? I mean, take it all out of,
Or the
His-
town budget, you can
Yep,
take it
you
out of
could.
the town budget, all of it. And he might be doing it, we don't know.
He's not.
well, how do we know?
Oh, I guess we don't know that, but I don't believe so.
Well, then I want you to get something in writing out of him, what he plans to do. Otherwise, we can't figure out this budget.
You saw his email, Steve. I don't know what else to tell
The
you.
email is a disgrace.
Well, that's
Okay.
right. That's between you and him.
No, it's between the township and him. How much money are we even talking about? If it's so insignificant, then we'll just move on. So
It would be insignificant.
how much money are we paying in for, well, first of all, are we paying half of the highway commissioner's IMRF? And how much is the supervisor's IMRF?
It's not that much.
Well, it's based on,
Based upon a percentage.
Well, it's a figure that changes every year.
And yeah, the IMRF figure changes every year.
But I would say it'd probably range anywhere from 7% up to maybe 11%.
But it's gonna go down based on.
It's going down.
It'll
But I
go
would say
down
it's
based
below
on
10%
decreased
in this
salary.
budget.
Right. So it's going down. I already know it's going down.
yeah, but is the IMRF a benefit when it wasn't specifically?
No, the IMRF is something separate and apart. The board specifically called out and said that the elected officials will not receive any health insurance. The IMRF is a separate issue that would be included and should be included in this budget. The next board, if they,
So we're saying if we didn't exclude something, if we didn't explicitly exclude it, whatever was in the past was already in?
No,
I say just the opposite. If we didn't approve of it explicitly, it's not in.
no, the IMRF is part of the salary, so whatever the salary is, it's whatever that percentage is times that amount.
But we don't have the board, and they proved this in Maine Township, they don't have to give IMRF as a benefit. If the people I'm not talking about anything you've accumulated in the IMRF in prior years,
But you
this
can't,
past term or whatever, okay? All the 22 years you were on the
there
board.
was no IMRF.
All right, so you've been on like what, 4, 5, 6?
Maybe 6 years.
No, you took over from Schaefer before that.
I've only been in office about 6 years.
She was only in a year and a few months.
No, it was more than that, Steve.
So she cut out midway through?
She cut out, I think I came in December 2015. 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20.
All right, so she's out before the halfway point. So you've got 6+ years then. I'm not talking about those years. I'm talking about the future 4 years.
I have a separate issue then, I assume the assessor is also in the IMRF,
Yes,
and her budget reflects that?
yes.
So she's some percentage of that IMRF figure.
And her budget.
But half of the road commissioner's new salary in this budget is gonna be $22,500.
Well, that's a mystery because we don't have anything in writing from the road district as to what he could elect to put it all in the township. Correct?
He has not indicated that.
Yeah, I know.
I don't think he would be changing it.
But you can't, are you as agent, you can speak for him
No,
as a treasurer?
I cannot.
So,
But I can tell you that he hasn't indicated that he's going to do anything like that.
well, that's the problem when we don't have a budget from the road commissioner. Everything is a mystery. And it bleeds into this budget of the town. So, what are we talking about, $1,500? I'm trying to figure out, is the IMRF going to be paid by the township for those two officials? Half, whatever the township road commissioner is, and the supervisor for the next 4 years. I know
It's not a very big amount.
well, it comes out to be about what, 10,000 over the course of the 4 years?
If you took 4% at 45,000, it's 1,800 times 4 years, it would be $7,200.
For the supervisor.
It would be the same for supervisor and the assessor, I believe. What's the assessor's at? 45?
Assessors,
45 also, so it would be the same amount.
So it's, how much times 3?
I took 1,800 times
4.
4,
And then that figure times 3,
and so then,
right?
yes. So on an assessor, 45,000 times 4% would be 1,800 times the 4-year term would be 7,200. So, and then you had 3 people at 7,200. The additional amount is $21,600. 3 people, 4 years.
All right, so now the question is that going to be paid? Paid out
it is because
when we took the benefits away because they were part-time jobs.
I believe you get, I mean, You guys have budgeted for it, or this board is budgeting for it?
Well, we're not budgeting for it.
Okay.
That's the problem.
The,
We are budgeting for it for all the other employees. There's no question of that.
without speaking to the IMRF specifically, the resolution that was passed says the amount is $45,000 and that the above elected officials will not receive health insurance effective May 17, 2021. Then it's an argument as to whether or
Well, it
not.
wasn't just health insurance, it was all these other insurances. Aren't they on catastrophic, dental, optical, all these other
Well,
things?
that's what it meant, all those things. We're not gonna get dental or anything like that.
So, that is a benefit. It is a direct compensation.
It's directly correlate, I'm not arguing with you. It's, IMRF is directly linked to your compensation. In this case, the compensation is $45,000. If you wanted to,
I think you have to talk to IMRF first, because my understanding was that once you're in.
once you're in the program, you're in the program.
Right.
That's what we were told when we were discussing that once you're in it, we could not take that out.
Once you're in, you're
We're
in.
not taking them out. We're not taking out any money that accrued to them or they're vested for. But so it's $21,000 over the next 4 years that the township is going to be paying in excess of the salaries.
Right.
And that's the
Correct.
problem.
So if the board's position was, we don't want to pay the $1,800, let's say the IMRF cost is $1,800, then the salary could have been set at $43,000.
No,
Yeah.
that's,
I'm just saying as an alternative.
yeah, we could have done it that way, okay? But as you know, we were saying, look, it's a part-time job, 45,000 gets cut. And now they're getting more. So what apparently you're saying is that the board should have explicitly said no IMRF payments.
I think at the time, when we were discussing this.
We talked to IMRF.
We said that, Steve.
Yeah, I thought I shared that
At the time, we said
this
that.
includes the IMRF, so I don't know that I changed that position. I'm
Well,
just saying that
Then, what do you mean includes the IMRF?
me-
I thought the IMRF would come out of the 45,000.
That's not what you said. That's not what's in there.
No, it's $45,000.
And then they could pay into the IMRF out of the 45,000, not the salary plus the IMRF.
Isn't the IMRF a partial responsibility of the person putting it into the account, like 50% or 40%, something like that, that comes out of
Yes.
your salary and then,
A certain amount does come out, yes.
Well, what is it, half? So, in other
I
words,
believe it was half when I was on it.
so for purposes here.
So that's already coming out of our salary.
Your share of the IMRF from the salary. Right, that's right. It should, if they elect to do it, yeah, it should come out of it. But it shouldn't be an extra thing.
No, a portion of, you have to pay a portion for IMRF. Which comes out of the salary.
Correct.
So what you're saying is, it's a matching thing.
It's not a matching thing, Steve.
No,
No, it's not. I know it's not.
no, I pay it.
It's a percentage. The taxpayers are paying that percentage. What, this year could be, 6%, 7%. But that's all the taxpayers paying. The rest of it's coming out of their salaries. However, they get from whatever the retirement fund is, it's split there. But the taxpayers are only paying, that's a percentage, and I'm gonna say probably this year, not more than 7, 8%. The taxpayers aren't paying all that benefit. Some of it comes out of your salary.
Okay, so,
Whatever the percentage is, I don't know that percentage.
but on here, so they're each getting an extra 70, 200? For the 4 years. Out of
What Jim is telling you, that number is the taxpayer cost of the pension. Isn't that the figure you're talking about, the taxpayer cost?
Yes.
Well, it's beyond the salary. Right?
It is.
All right, so what you're saying is that it really wasn't, the board really didn't say 45,000 for each one of the jobs. It said, we were really saying 45,000 plus 1,800.
That's correct. We didn't put a number to it, but if you put a number to it, that's exactly what we were saying.
Well, I didn't. I thought it was, they could just elect to take some amount out and they wouldn't be taxable at this point. That when it was included in the salary.
I looked at it the other way. I thought that's what we approved.
Yeah, I think we did.
My feeling of that situation was that we cut the salaries to 45, that we wanted to get rid of IMRF, we could not do that with the other benefits, and that
But we
the
could do
taxpayers
it.
would pick up that percentage.
But we could do it.
What?
But we could do it. Like they did in
I'm
Maine
just saying, at that
Township.
time, we're told we couldn't do it. No, that's another argument. I don't know if we could or not. At that time, when we made that decision for the resolution, my understanding was, clearly, was that it was 45,000. The taxpayers would be picking up
And they said
the percentage of
Right.
retirement.
Take this part out.
That's what they said, but, you know, I can come back with more information at the next meeting from IMRF and what they indicated and kind of go back through my notes on it, but that was what
That came from Jim talking to IMRF.
What was that?
That came from Jim talking to IMRF.
I remember that was discussed at the
I don't want you to waste
meeting,
time on
that we're
this.
doing that, and that's what we were told at the
But-
meeting, and that's when
Yeah, but,
we voted on it.
yeah, I was under the understanding that any contribution to the IMRS would be made out of the salary.
What about the other, Mike, what did you think?
Otherwise, then,
Remember?
it's not a true picture of the
I
salary.
don't recall IMRF being even mentioned, to be honest with you.
I don't remember.
You don't? Oh.
It was never, right. We talked about it, Jim talked to him and said,
I remember it clearly.
okay, so let's move on then. All right, anything else you see there?
Well, it is a benefit that the taxpayers are paying, and it was a benefit that was cut by Maine Township when they cut the salaries, when they cut their board salaries to no IMRF contribution. So this business that just because someone was vested in IMRF doesn't mean that the new board had to continue paying it. I mean, they could draw it out later, okay, and contribute what they wanted to. So when we say that the salary was 45,000, it really was, what, 46,800?
But we can't change that now, right? We should move along. We made this decision before, right?
We made it within 180 days, so.
Well, Steve, I have no problem with
It's fine, but
doing this.
Okay. I would take a vote if we're going to talk about it.
What was that?
I don't even know what to say. I think we got it.
Well, I don't think we, I think
we have a
like
choice.
Stan said,
There's nothing we can
if
do.
there's misunderstanding on Steve's part, we can't go back to adjust that anyway at this time.
Right.
So I don't know why we need a vote on it.
Well, then there should be a line item on IMRF, including elected officials.
You want me to put that in there?
Yeah.
Well, they could certainly do that.
So that at
It's-
least,
but it's
at least somebody's
if-
put on notice
If
that,
you want something in the
Yeah.
budget that would show that expenditure, I have no problem with that. But we're not gonna be able to go back and change that.
We can add that to the line item.
or have a separate line item, IMRF, elected officials.
It creates, can't we just say including elected officials, because,
Nobody can figure out what it is, okay, I agree. And
And it should be that way
it's
because
just
it's
some
gonna change every
mystery
year.
Starts-
amount. Yeah, I know, it's all hidden.
starts to become a county nightmare if we start doing, okay. So we'll put a note there, including elected officials. All right,
So what was support, when HRA support, what did that mean again?
that was the health reimbursement account, remember, where they got.
Right, but what does support mean?
It helps support their,
Is that the support staff?
oh, I'm sorry, yeah, it's separated.
All right, so we could just say employees, right?
I'm gonna say employees instead of support. But I think we've got up on top salary support. So we were being consistent.
Well, then make it employees on both instead of support. It doesn't, it doesn't say what it's supporting, okay? So employees covers it.
Okay. All right, moving down, we've been through equipment maintenance, risk management, all that stuff, I believe already.
So on the cell phone stuff, has all that been changed in the employee manuals, whatnot, about to get the phones?
It will be, Mr. Motel's working on that. All right, yep. It'll be just an addendum, right?
Yes.
I believe we've talked about the rest of these items already.
So dues and subscriptions, that's TOI primarily, right?
Okay, that would be primarily, yeah.
And it's not education.
No, that's under training.
Well, then we can cut that down,
You can cut what down?
the 2,000. We can cut it down to 1,500.
Well, if you look at past years,
Okay, so what are you gonna add that you didn't have last year?
well, it may go up, is what we're trying to tell you.
Pardon me?
The dues may go up.
You're just talking about dues of four trustees and you, right? Or are we paying half of the road commissioners?
No.
How much are the dues for trustees?
I don't even know, Steve. You have to find out.
It's like $50 a year for TOI, isn't it, to get that magazine? You're a member of it.
Right, right.
Okay, so it's like maybe $400 between everybody. So what's the other dues and subscriptions?
What would they use our dues for anyway, TOI?
Lobbying, so it's taxpayer funds for lobbying.
I'm asking the supervisor. What would they use the dues for?
Well, make the magazine, do educational stuff.
But people pay for the education, or for the training and stuff.
No, but they're not paying the full cost, you know. POI is picking up part of that cost.
Does anybody, can anybody get the numbers of how much dues from TOI? They're not a taxing body. How would you, I mean, that's kind of an interesting question. When you look at over 1,400 townships, each one's got 4 trustees, that's quite a significant amount of money.
Well, the problem is
if a township is paying it, there should be an answer to the question, how's it being spent?
you'd have to FOIA TOI on that.
Huh?
You'd have to FOIA TOI.
It can't be FOIA, they're not a governmental
Well,
entity.
I tried, you can't get any information.
I
But I
wouldn't
think
I wouldn't have the information.
what I think though, say a township board should be able to send them a question, say, what are those dues being spent on? Couldn't the board ask that question, Jim, and get an answer?
Whether they answer, I don't know.
I'll don't answer.
But it would be very appropriate for the board to ask that question.
So
All I'm saying is just cut it by $500.
well, I'm saying right now,
Unless
Steve,
the supervisor can explain, he wants to get new subscription. They spent a little over 1,000 last year, wanted 2,000 this year,
Hold on, let me see where we're at here.
so I don't know what the,
I can see cutting it, but furthermore,
You want to
though,
make it 1,500, Steve, just to be safe here?
not to be safe, just to be, like what?
Well, let's.
If you're gonna get dues for
2019,
something
20,
else,
it was 1,500. I'm just looking at historical data.
if you know you need something else, just tell us and we'll give you the money for it. But if you can't tell us, then it's going down to 1,500.
I just said 1,500 is okay then. I would believe it.
Okay. Now, the question is, what does
I would like to,
TOI
as
That's a whole
a board
different
member,
issue.
I'd like to direct the supervisor to contact TOI as soon as possible and ask them what that dues money that is going from at least, I'm not even saying for the whole board, or say from the road commissioner or from the assessor, I'm saying from the board, the dues from this board, where is that money being spent on? Is that support from the rest of the board? Would you like to know, Mike?
I would,
Stan?
fine,
Would you like to know what that money's spent on?
sure.
Steve?
Yeah, but
Well, let's direct the
It's kind of
superintendent to
culture-
contact
it's ultra
TOI.
virus.
How's the money spent?
Possibly the publishing costs for the magazine and, right?
I'd just like an answer. If that's your answer, I
They
don't
have
know. I
employees.
can't answer it.
They have employees too, so.
I know that when you start looking at the situation of all these townships,
As a matter of fact, it's not used for lobbying, I can tell you that. There's it cannot be used for lobbying, it's all for the staff, because they have a separate account for lobbying that comes from donations. I know that for a fact, I just thought about that.
well, I'd still like to find out what it's spent on.
Well, what?
I'd still like to have an answer to the question, what is this due spent on? Why are we spending the money to TOI?
Well, we have to in order to get the insurance. We can't not belong to TOI or we couldn't get the insurance.
See, that's why the
Everything's
little,
twisted here.
this is why the little townships, I mean, half of the townships in Illinois have less than 1,000 people, okay? Some of them don't even have 50 registered voters. So they're the ones that are subsidizing the pool for the big urbanized townships.
No,
Well, let me ask this question. Does every township pay the same dues?
That's a good question.
But you're asking the wrong person.
No,
Yeah, I would-
I'm directing it to a person that could send an email to TOI to get an answer to the question.
He can tell us what we paid. What our dues was.
Well, are we, in other words, are we paying more than we should? Are all townships paying the same amount?
Of course they are, because they're the little townships are subsidized. The insurance pool is a racket. We've already gone into that. $5 million of coverage for $1,000 a year going into traffic. There's only 20 townships that have buses. So who's paying, who's getting clipped? Plus there's the insurance scam, right? When townships are sued, how much is that? How much you get, Mr. Militello, from a TOI case per hour? It's more than here, right?
It can be.
Well, it is. It can be, it is.
So part of those dues must go to insurance premiums, and another part of them must go to protection from lawsuits, right?
No,
That makes sense?
I don't think anybody in this room could totally answer that. You could be right.
No, I don't think so.
But that's not really
I
a
think we
problem
all
for
have
the
different
budget.
ideas where
It's
it's
not,
going.
you know what, this is not a problem for the budget, so let's move on.
Is the training realistic, 1,000?
Yes, we already
We
lowered
settled
that.
on that.
I
this
know,
quarter.
I know, but I'm uncomfortable that it's too low. What was the original amount? 2?
I think it was 2 originally. We had 3,000 at one time? Oh, we had 3,000 one year. Yeah. To be honest with you, Steve, it depends, you know, is everything gonna open up, or they're having live?
Well, I'd be okay to increase it 1,000.
You'd be okay to make that 2,000?
If,
No, I'm not. Maybe 1,000. We already talked about it. Why spend more time on it? We discussed it last.
This is a
last
figure
meeting.
that.
This was just last
We
meeting.
decided 1,000. Leave it there.
but we haven't, this whole budget workshop is to try and get something realistic, okay?
But
We
this,
decided $1,000 the last meeting. Realistic.
yeah, you changed it to 1,000.
Yeah, but you're also talking about 4 new people coming in.
Zoom.
Well, there may not even be Zoom available if they open things up.
They might open things up.
Then we'll have to go to contingency. Let's move on.
Well, we already discussed it last meeting, so.
All right, so that 31,000, that's a hard figure, right? For
That's a hard-
data processing?
Correct.
And we're going down on the WebEx from last year
Because we're not going to be using WebEx. We changed this new system, and included in that is going to be GoToMeeting. So every time we use WebEx and have one of these meetings, it's $200 some dollars.
so then it's going to be a lot less than 5,000.
No, not if you look at 2019-20, it was 4754.21. So that's why we budgeted 5,000.
Yeah, but so
We didn't have
we're
WebEx.
discontinuing WebEx?
Right, but we didn't have. We were at 47 back in 2019-20.
So WebEx is different from Facebook.
Correct.
So I'm just trying to understand this. Maybe there should be a separate line item for Facebook then, which would be a bunch of zeros for the prior years, right?
No, Facebook costs us, you approve it every month, $200 and some dollars.
Okay, so,
It's just all lumped together there, Steve. It's not a big deal.
are there any other consulting services besides those 2?
There could be during the year, that's why we've got 5,000.
But we're going to decrease the use of WebEx?
Correct.
Well, how much? Just $200 worth?
Yeah.
Why?
250 or something like that.
How is it that small? So one isn't replacing the other one.
No,
We made them both all the way through. How do we cut it down so much year 1 of this board? I wasn't here. So it was 10 and it's almost in half and it stayed that way all the way through?
Right, because at some point in time, we must have had a consulting service for something else.
Okay. Office supplies, now, how much goes to GA from the office supplies?
And there's a separate, I believe. Pretty sure it is. Yeah, they have their own office. Page 11. So, if you look at past years, this year, it was lower. A lot of that was due to COVID because we're not using as much paper. Paper's that's expensive now.
Well, is it because of, we're not using as much paper? Is it because we're going to digital anyway?
No, we have, contracts for the halls, things like that, it's all done on paper, so. We still use a lot of paper for various things.
All right, so they can get cut to 3,000, right?
Which one are we looking at?
Office supplies? What's the difference between office supplies and operating supplies?
Office supplies are like paper, pens, things like that. Things that we use in the office. Operating supplies are probably other things like cleaning, things like that. Cleaning supplies probably. And there hasn't been as much traffic, there has been no traffic in the office, so the cleaning has gone down for supplies.
Well,
And these would probably be an operating supplies mass that we have to have right now.
all right.
The wipes, toilet paper, things like that. So there hasn't been as much usage, so we expect that to go up.
Well, are we in agreement that the office supplies need to come down? Especially since the parks have their own office supply line item, the assessor has its own office supply item, the GA has its own.
We could, but let's look at 2019-20 actual was 3271. This year they went down due to COVID, obviously.
Well, how have they been? All right. So can we cut it down to 3,500?
Sure, I can do that.
What was the number?
35.
$3,500, and then the next one.
You talking about operating supplies? Supplies?
Yeah.
Well, we haven't used as much this year. You can see it's been at 2,200 in past years. You want to
So make it to 2,500 on that one. So this furniture, equipment, software, I thought that's what Excalibur was giving us, software.
No, we have to. They give us services. We have to pay for software. They install the software, they you still have to pay Microsoft so much a year, you have to pay, there's all kinds of licenses involved in software.
So why is that in commodities and not contractual services?
Because it is a commodity, we're paying for software, it's not a contractual service, we're paying for software. We're paying directly for the software.
So it's you pay for the software, and who puts it on? The equipment.
Excalibur would install it, that's part of their consulting. Or their fees.
But you have a contract with,
Right, but they don't
but
pay for the software.
is this Microsoft?
It'll be Microsoft, there's other software, Steve, I don't even know what's all in there. That Microsoft would just be one of them.
So you just buy as you need, and that's why it's listed as a commodity.
Correct.
We're not in a contract with anybody to
Well-
supply us so much.
We have to purchase it once a year, you know what I'm saying? It's a once a year deal, a lot of this stuff.
All right, so well then it should go up in contractual services,
I don't understand why it would go under contractual.
because it's a one-time pay thing.
How is that contractual? To me,
Because
it's,
you can use their software for the year, right? Every year you gotta renew it.
right.
So it's not like something that's used up as a commodity would be. Like salt for the road district or cleaning stuff for the town hall.
Mr. Rotel, your thoughts on that?
Whatever the board desires on this. I mean, the furniture, equipment, software, the software, you may or may not get it. You just buy it as you need it. Just like a computer, if you buy a computer, you usually buy software with it.
How much is the software? Just about.
I have no idea, Steve.
So keep them together.
There's more than one software.
Some softwares are a licensing agreement and some are actually physically bought. So, yeah, I would consider it as office supplies.
Yeah, that's true. There could be a software that's purchased.
Right.
And it's a one-time deal.
Well, it sounds like it is a one-time deal.
No, it isn't. 'Cause
Microsoft has to be renewed once a year.
Microsoft is once a year, and there's other programs, I can't even tell you what else. Our email program, I'm sure that's not free.
I'm just trying to figure out, is software a small part of that 5,500? Or half, or what?
I would think it would be a smaller amount than the equipment.
How many computers are there?
It's divided by computers.
But there's nothing for the assessor's computers, right?
No, she has her own stuff. Well, I think it's in there.
Right, so it's...
She has computer licenses and software.
So there's no park software.
There may not be. Okay, well,
No.
I guess there isn't. They don't really have any computers.
Okay.
I don't think that's an unreasonable amount, Steve. When you look back in 2018, we spent 53. In 2019-20, we spent 5,075.
That's fine, but I think they should all be broken down. Furniture, equipment, one thing, software, another, just so that everybody knows what things are. Coming up with a good budget is so that you don't have these mysteries, and you can easily look at it and say, wait a minute, Why did the software go up? It's not hidden in a mix. It's a separate tangible thing. I don't care if the 5,500 figure is the aggregate amount for those two items. But I don't think it's right to lump it in with furniture and equipment.
I think it's fine there, Steve. I don't think it's a big deal.
I don't think it's a big deal to separate it off.
More line items creates more.
More what? Accuracy, transparency?
No, creates more work.
No, it isn't.
So you'd like to have software under contractual services, is that what you're saying?
No, it can stay in commodities, but it should be a separate, it should be a.
Can I make a suggestion?
Yeah, go ahead.
Why don't you take Steve's idea and move furniture, equipment, and software/computer licenses as their own separate items to contractual services? And the only reason I say that is, one, it does split them apart, but then two, it creates consistency between admin and the assessors where they already have computer license/software under contractual services.
But there's, because they've got it listed, I see what you're saying, they've got it separate there. So you like to see software under, by itself under commodities is fine?
Right, and then you figure out how much it should be so that the two line items equal to 5,500.
Okay. I'll add software in there. The furniture and equipment will be separate, right?
Now the asterisks are also in the assessor budget.
Right, it means it's also in the assessor, and it's listed as software.
Well, I mean the data processing and the computer maintenance. So the Excalibur, it's all just going to Excalibur, right? The data processing.
Yes, I believe so.
And so under hers, that's what we figured out would be the split, the proper split.
There is a proper split. It's done by number of computers.
But it's Excalibur again, right? The assessors is Excalibur too, right?
It would be, so we should put Excal after the back of that, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, so that,
No, I'm not.
What happens if something happens and you have to terminate Xcal? I'll just, you know.
Well, we would have to go. Last time I went out and looked, and nobody would even touch us, except Excal. No one would even bid it.
I mean, Xcal is the service provider at this time, or the vendor that's doing the services, but
Right.
it should,
But it'd have to be replaced by somebody else.
Right, but all you're doing is making a note that that's been referenced to Xcal.
Right, it's all right.
That's all it is.
That's all it is.
If you need to use those funds for somebody else because Xcal's out, you would use those
Right,
funds.
right.
so it's one contract for one contract with Excalibur for both entities, the assessor and the admin of the township.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how it's equitably split between the two.
Correct, it's split by number of computers, I believe.
But doesn't, Doesn't the assessor's office have more computers than you?
They would have 6, and I think we probably have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
So what it should be is the total amount, 50, whatever it is, thousand for Excalibur, divided by computer, and therefore, how many computers are in each one, right?
Correct.
So, there's at least 6 in the assessor's office, and you've got one for you, one for Debbie, one for Flo. Who else?
1 for the receptionist, 1 for Terry, and 1 for GA. 1, 2,
One for Dan?
3. Oh yeah, 1 for Dan. I forgot about that one. So we have more.
And the GA one, is that in the GA budget? It doesn't look like it.
No, it doesn't.
So under GA on page 11, there's really no equipment. It's just the data processing.
Right.
So we can scratch out equipment, right?
Do we have equipment in there, Shane?
That's on page 11. And it's about 6 up, 7 up from the bottom. So whatever number you get per computer, data processing gets 1. Just 1?
Mm-hmm.
So that $100 got to be more. So we have
Well, first of all, I don't know why it's got to be a mistake, Steve, if you look at it, okay?
What do you mean a mistake?
Well, there's $100 budgeted, but
I know, so it's got to come up, and a like number's got to come off somewhere in the township.
no, what I'm saying is, look at past years, I don't know why we would have budgeted 100 in there. It was 987, 98 last year.
Yeah, so why don't we just do this? You figure out the total budget, or the total number of computers for each one of the departments. Multiply that, or divide that by the entire bill of...
It already is, so.
It isn't, because it's only $100 unproposed.
No, I'm saying we've got a mistake there, obviously, if you look at the budget. It was 987, 98 last year.
I know, but...
I don't know why we put 100 in there, it was obviously an error.
Is it,
That's why we're looking at this stuff.
all right, well, there isn't, we say the parks don't have one, right?
Correct.
So it's township, assessor, GA, and we don't share computers with the road district, right?
Nope.
Okay, so,
So what I'm saying is, we've got a mistake on this one. That would be, it should be probably $1,000 in there.
was the money for Excalibur just a flat amount? Like $32,000 or $51,000, something like
Well, it
that?
can vary, because sometimes they might have to replace something.
So when we do the data processing for Excalibur, then we should list out the number of computers for each one, okay? I just want to get a true idea of what GA costs.
Well, GA has one computer, so I'm telling you, it should be $1,000 in there.
Oh, how many computers are there total? Dan, you, Flo, Debbie, that's 4. GA, 5, right?
Right. Receptionist,
Receptionist, 6.
Terry, so,
Terry, 7. And then that's it, right?
right.
And then assessor has only 6. The assessor gets 1, right? And then there's only 5 people in their office have 1.
Right.
All right, and the total amount of the Excalibur bill is $31,000 for the township. Assessor is $25,000. And GA is like 100 on this, so
I said that's a mistake, we need to make that 1,000. If you look past here,
well, it may not be a mistake. It might be right. The 100 added to the, so there's $56,000 for Excalibur, right? Plus the 100. So that's the bill of Excalibur.
for the assessor yeah, and the town, yeah.
So it's 56,000 divided by 13.
Let me find out exactly.
Unless there's another computer somewhere.
I could be missing one somewhere.
But if that is true, then the assessor's getting subsidized by the township.
No, she's not, so let me figure it out. I understand what you're saying.
See, part of the purpose of the budget is you go down and figure out exactly how much each one of the departments is costing.
Right, I understand.
And I know it's hard because there's some shared stuff and we've tried to,
It's hard to break some of this stuff totally out. I mean, yeah.
right, and if it was small, we didn't care.
Right.
But I don't think it's ever been broken down like this. And it'll help the next board. Or any citizen that wants to get to the bottom of how much stuff is really costing.
Well, actually, your point is not just how much it's really costing, but what department or area is being spent on too. That's what your goal is too. Exactly where's the money being spent.
Well, but we're showing that on her already.
Well, yeah,
But he's trying to get a little more.
what he means is there'll be departments that they do this in the defense contract. There'll be all kinds of money for certain things and then that never gets spent. Okay?
But
That year. But then it gets sent into another department and then, oh, it really costs a lot more. But if you just look at the budget and say, wait a minute.
But that doesn't happen here, it's per the line item, so it doesn't get sent to the department.
If this was Rutland Township, where they just have 45 people living in the township and their budget's under $1,000 a year,
We'll have to
okay.
be- yeah.
But we're not, it's over $1 million. And we're in a depression. I mean, so, and we're in one of the high stakes counties the country. One of the highest townships, in the highest township.
We're not the highest. What do you mean?
Property taxes.
No, not, our township isn't the highest.
We're lower than Barrington. We're lower than some of those that you think would be more.
We're lower than Algonquin.
We're lower than, we're higher than everybody in Cook. Okay.
Cook's way different, they don't.
Right, and we're higher than a lot in Lake. Which is another bad one.
Anyway, so where are we at here?
So there's a contract with Excalibur with a finite amount,
You
right?
wanna know what it is.
And if there's certain, if you want to build something into it, because we've gone over the contractual amount because of something that's happened regularly in the past,
Well, I think
that's
we-
an extra from Excalibur, then put that into.
I think we've built that in already. Maybe not, okay.
That's the biggest contracting one, right? Of all,
Yeah.
of everything in the budget, that's the biggest one, the biggest single one.
I would say so, yeah.
All right.
See, another part of this, Steve, is, I just thought about that. It might be why the assessor is less. There's servers. Are included in there, so.
You mean the platform that taxpayers get on and all that?
Correct. There's, I believe there's 4 or 5 servers, so that's divided by, somehow also I'll have to find that out. That would be in your Excel.
Well, all right, so how many servers does the township have?
I don't know if it's 4 or 5. 4 for sure. Oh, the township itself? See, that's what I got. I don't know. I have to find out. I don't know if we use 2 of them, and the assessor only uses 1 of them.
All right, so it's not just a matter of the computers, it's the servers.
I just thought about that, yeah.
So does GA have a server too?
No, they're probably shared.
With the township?
I would think so.
I thought that was all like with firewalls and everything. So it'd be a discrete, people can apply online, right, for the assistance?
Yes, they can. They're going to fill out the application.
All right,
Actually,
so if the township ever gets hacked, the general assistance applications are totally separated
wait.
from...
I don't, they can access the application, but they have to fill it out. And they either email it back to us or bring it in.
So then why
So
do
the
they need a server?
The application, I don't know if they, well, for the program, the GA program, there's a software program for GA.
Oh. Well, then that's gotta be in the GA budget.
It is, I'm sure.
All right, so you gotta find out how many computers, how many servers, who gets what,
Okay,
and how it's split with
I'll find that out.
the total contract of Excalibur.
Okay.
And something built in. So we have a contract with them, but they charge if something goes awry or they...
Well, say a hard drive or something goes down, they purchase it and then they bill us for it.
All right.
Or say a server goes down, we have to get a new server, we pay for it somehow. Sometimes that might come out of capital funds if we don't have enough, you know.
Well, isn't Excalibur running the server?
We run our own servers here.
I know, but
They-
Excalibur really runs it, because you don't have that computer sitting in here with a VPN and everything else, firewall. I mean, it's really Excalibur. It's sitting somewhere else.
No, it's sitting on our server.
You have a server here?
We have 4 servers here.
I'm not, no,
I
I'm,
don't understand what you're asking me. The firewalls and stuff are installed by Excalibur
yeah.
onto our equipment. The only thing Excalibur does off-site is they back those things up once a night and goes to some facility they have, in case our,
Where are the servers stored?
But that's where the servers are.
no, that's their server. We have 4 servers in this building, 4 or 5, I'm not sure.
Really?
Really?
Maybe we're talking about different things.
Maybe we are, maybe we are. I don't understand what you're.
When you say server,
Xcal does
what
all
do you
the-
mean?
It's a thing that, for data storage, you know,
Well, the storage is,
and running the program.
there's some in the cloud, right? That's what Excalibur's,
That's what Excalibur, yeah, you're right,
Okay.
you're right.
and it's better be off-site, or
No.
you're in trouble.
Right, that's why they have an off-site backup every night.
Yeah,
In case,
okay.
in case the
but-
building would burn down, you know, we'd lose everything.
So when you say server, you mean the platform?
I'm not a computer expert, I don't know.
Neither am I.
What the
but-
difference is there.
Well, I think what you're saying, you're actually saying, you have server boxes.
Yeah, we do.
Where would they be located?
They're in the assessor's office.
So in the assessor's office, there's 4 server boxes that the data is accessible. That's what I'm hearing.
And how many township servers are there?
I have to find that out for you, what's what, I don't know what.
Do we own those servers? Or they are Excalibur?
No, that we own those servers. And Excalibur, you know,
Yep, Excalibur maintains them.
Excalibur maintains them, exactly.
But if there's a problem with one of them,
Okay,
the assessor's office,
okay.
there shouldn't be a problem with the township or the GA.
Correct. They're separated, or partitioned.
And you're completely separated from the township. I mean, sorry, the road district.
Well, the road district must have a server somewhere too. in there.
In other words, you're not sharing servers with the road district.
No, I don't think so.
But they're on the Excalibur plan too.
Right, and they get charged. That's a different for them. I mean, it's not different. It's-
So Flow is on 2 servers? The township one and then the road district one? When she does their
No, she's not, because she just puts the stuff in one time.
Well, that means she has access to the road district servers. If she's doing spreadsheets and putting bills in for them. Or Debbie is rather, I'm sorry, not Flo.
No, it's one accounting software. Hey, Steve, you could break everything down to minute little pieces. It just is very difficult to be done.
Yeah, but these are all, do you know offhand what the Excalibur bill is for the road district is?
I don't know offhand, no. It's not included in these budgets, though. I can tell you that.
I gotta think it's more.
Well, I don't know that. I gotta think, because they probably don't have that many computers in it. 1, 2,
Oh,
3.
more than the township.
I don't think they have
Not
one.
maybe more with township and assessor. Yeah, okay.
See what I'm saying? They don't have that many.
All right. So that'll be broken down by servers and computers.
I'll find that.
Do you have VPNs from Excalibur here?
What's a VPN? I'm not familiar with that term.
Well, it's like a
Virtual private network.
sort of a router.
The VPN is a virtual private network. You would know it if you had it. They'd be an access point that you'd be able to access things. You may have it, you may not know that you have it. I don't know. It'd be a question for Excel.
Oh, I think we do, because people can work off site with their computer to get into ours, so we do have a VPN.
You probably do.
But that's under Excalibur. It's under their aegis that you do all these things.
Must be, yeah, because we don't have the right.
Okay.
I would believe.
How much of this stuff is encrypted? Everything?
Oh, Excalibur's on top of everything, so I'm sure it's all encrypted. It's all,
End-to-end encryption?
and what?
End-to-end?
I would think,
I meant, all right.
you're getting into all kinds of technical stuff that I'm not, you know.
So, what would happen if the road district says we're sick of and tired of Excalibur, we want this? Are we tied into that contract with the township?
For right now, they are tied in, I believe, for another year, so they wouldn't have a choice until the contract ran out.
Which is,
I think it's through all next year.
so that's a multi-year thing.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
All right. I've lost track where that was.
We were talking about data and information,
We're gonna,
comparing it in
We're
the
gonna-
admin section to the accessory section.
right. You wanna compare admin to assessor, right? And we're gonna move software down by itself. Okay?
All right, we're on 5 now?
Sure.
Page 4, anybody have any comments?
Not much there.
Move on to 5.
You know, we were kind of wrong to change that, the Senior Express. It should be Senior Express through whatever budgeted year that is, and then the electric bus going forward. From, when did that actually start? 2020? The 20
Last year, wasn't it?
Yeah, okay, so like some kind of notation there that before the township was paying for it, it was the Senior Express program, but then that changed into the electors bus program.
So you can put a note in here that said, along with what Steve's saying, you can change it to the electors program if you wanted, and then put the note in there. Prior to this date, it was previously known as the Senior Express.
Prior to,
When did it start?
it started in 2021, so prior to
Whatever that date is.
2020 through 21.
So then, on page 1, when we do the beginning balance stuff, that Mr. Militello was talking about.
Right.
For electors, what they voted themselves 150,000?
No, they only voted 50. The first year they did, but not this year. This year they only voted 50,000.
So what does that mean, additional 100,000 to continue to 3/2022 on page 5?
It was just put out there what it would cost to run the program for a whole year. But at this point in time, it's only going to go through June. Because that's all money they expended for.
So there's, when people call into the bus, who takes the call?
We now take the calls.
But does the receptionist up there do it, or where? Who?
No, our full-time bus driver coordinates all that.
Why did we go away from McBride?
Because it was costing, I don't remember if it's on here somewhere.
Well, that was,
We went away, we could always go back if we need to, but it was costing us, I can't remember, $3,600 a year or something like that. And with COVID, obviously, the rates have gone down so we can handle it. So we opted out.
so that was additional to the McBride program that the township was kicking in for.
Yeah, it's listed before as dispatch, see it? It was $3,600.
Oh. All right, so,
That's gone away. And now it's just in the full-time bus driver's salary
so how many personnel do we now have?
for the buses. You know what you're asking?
Yeah.
With 1 full-time and 2 part-time.
And the full-time is also the dispatcher.
Correct, she coordinates the schedule.
Which is something like 90 rides a month.
It's growing again. It's probably,
It's all in the monthly packet, right?
it's all in the
It's-
packet. It
it's in
was
every
down,
pack.
it's down, but as people start to get their COVID shots now, it's been going back up. We're seeing more ridership again all of a sudden. From when COVID was really locked down.
So then this proposed budget is meaningless if it's only paid out to July.
Correct, it's meaningless.
Well,
Could just take it out of there, is that what you like?
no, how do we even do that? They don't, they haven't haven't gotten 100,000 out to fund it.
Right, hold on a second, let me take a look. Okay, we could take that whole column out of there.
So, well, there's still a proposed budget until July 1st,
So it
the end
should
of June, right?
He's saying get rid of.
Oh, on top of it, oh, that should be gone. I'm sorry. That was a note somebody made that shouldn't be here. Should just say, till July 1st, $50,000.
So you're taking out what, the 100,000?
That note up there on the top,
The note?
it shouldn't be there.
Oh, okay.
So, it puts us in a predicament as to how to categorize this. On the 2021-22, as I'm reading it, there's nothing set for
But
2022.
it really should just say 2021.
So
Right.
that should read from April 1st to July 1st, or to
Yeah,
June
it's-
31st?
It says that up there. On the note.
Well,
Well, I'm talking about the column.
Yeah, well, I would suggest we take out the one column there.
Yeah, proposed column, yeah, that should.
It shouldn't be there, I don't know why that got put.
and the date should be to June 30th, 2021.
Oh, to June 30th, okay. Is that right?
Yeah, because if you say to the end of.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
So then that column should be April 1 to June 30th, and not 2021, 2022 proposed.
Correct, we'll take that whole column out, right?
No, because we're gonna be, the board's
No,
responsible for that money.
No, I'm not, I'm talking about this column, inside of that column, 21, 22. It's really not proposed.
Yeah, so get rid of that, and then move a heading over this.
And when heading over that, we want to say, we'll just move this heading over there, right?
Correct.
And we've already gone, well, almost through a month in April.
Correct.
So all those figures are wrong.
What do you mean? Oh, what figures are wrong?
We don't have enough money to pay for that.
I don't know what you're talking about, Steve. I'm looking at the last
Steve,
column.
that's not gonna come out of the town fund.
I'm looking at the last column, 50,000.
That's gonna come out of the electric fund.
Yeah, right, but we still,
We have no control over
Yeah,
that.
we budgeted it on the first page there, it's showing.
but we're still in charge of the money. Just because the electors segregated money out for it doesn't mean that we're not responsible for the budget. That's why it's in here, and we have to go through it.
Well, but that really, that whole thing, with it being in our budget, really clouds up the whole issue, though.
No, the figures just have to be diced down to April, May, June, July,
Well, if you're
4
not
months.
talking to anybody that's running the program, how can you
They
figure figures
were,
out?
they were divided down to 4 months. It was,
Oh, I see.
see what
The
I'm saying?
last column is really
The last column is the only column we need there.
art.
The
Right,
column before
okay,
that,
right.
getting taken out of there, got it?
Right, I see what you mean.
Okay, that makes sense?
When you say 2 people are part-time, what does that really mean? They're half-time people, so it equals like another full-time person?
No, they're both dependable drivers. One week, one might not work, and the other week, they flop them. They get very limited hours, maybe 1 day a week. And we don't use them both. The reason for that is if somebody gets sick or something, we've got to back up, understand?
So the Pace lease is really for 3 buses?
Correct.
So that should only be $1,200, not $1,800. If it's still $100 a month.
$100 a month. 3 of them, it would be $3,600, right?
4 months, right? April, May, June.
April.
Oh, it's only 3 months, right. Right, you're right.
Sorry, it's already been divided out pretty close to what it should be.
No, it should be 900 then, not 1,800.
Base lease.
$100 a month, so it's $300 a month times 3, right? So, right, 900?
That's correct.
1,800 is going down to 900?
Yeah.
So is it risk, is the Torma insurance right? The 1,800?
Yes, so we just got those. I'll double check, but we just got those numbers for them.
So that we're still at the $200 a month bill.
Let me double check that.
per bus,
It sounds about
per
right.
coverage.
Sounds about right.
Now, that is a great deal.
It is a great deal.
And all these little townships are paying for it. Townships that wouldn't even think about us. Of course it is.
I know you think they are, but I don't think they are, because they're minimizing that risk amongst the ones that got those programs. I believe is the only way they're doing it.
Well, all you have to do is
It's because
look
it's,
at how much it would cost commercially to get that as a common carrier.
well, Torma is a, what would you call them? A mutual company, I guess.
Yeah, well,
And they haven't experienced a lot of risk in that program, I guess, is what I can tell you. I can't think, we might have had a couple fender benders, but that's been it.
so the cell phones are going to be provided by the township, or they're gonna get their own and you're paying?
They're gonna get their own work paying for it. We're paying a portion, I believe.
Like what? Half? Whatever their phone is, we pay half?
I'll find out for you.
So when someone buys the book of how many rides?
I believe, and you had pointed this out last time.
Oh, it's an uneven
Number, you're right. But I think the reason we made it that was because it was affordable at $25 that way, 5 times 5.
Okay, so where does that money go? Into the electors or in the township?
That was shown back. It goes,
To the electors? Yes, bus voucher books. Okay.
we're just showing that as income there.
All right, so then there should be a surplus then at the bottom for expenses. Because we just cut the Pace lease in half.
Yeah, so then we got, it's gotta come out to 50, so
No, it doesn't.
they allotted 50, Steve, so,
I know,
I'm
but-
not saying it's gonna come out to that, but there should be something down there saying,
Just say nobody rides the thing for some reason, okay?
well, then it
They
doesn't,
finally figured out it was cheaper to go at
it
McBride.
doesn't come out of here then, obviously.
Right, so there would be a surplus at the end of the,
There
the
could
month.
be, or there could not be.
right, but in other words, you don't have to spend the 50,000.
I don't know about that, they allocated 50,000, what does that tell you, Mr. Montano?
It says they have the ability to spend up to 50,000 through the township.
Right, so if you lower these things too much, they could extend the months, see?
Okay, so what happens with that money then? It goes back to the township general fund at the end of this
Yes,
30 days?
yes.
Yeah, it would go back, whatever's left over.
In other words, it's not some new piggy bank, it's
No,
elector's bus.
no, there's no,
Okay.
no.
But you should take the 900 and make this 50,000 somehow.
Right, we gotta make it come out to 50,000, is what I'm saying. So, vehicle maintenance, I think we're actually, we didn't have much last year, but it could all of a sudden creep up on us, so.
But you might also change the figure though when you look into the phone part of it too, and that comes back in. The figure would probably change somewhat.
So what if there's a contingency? It could somehow cost more than 50,000. Where does that money come from, Mr.
We
Militello?
don't have it.
There is no contingency for them.
So at least maybe that $900.
Maybe there should be a contingency in
There
there.
you go. There you go.
So we should put a contingency in there, because something could
Use the
happen.
$900 for the contingency.
Yep. So just make a line item contingency and add $900 to it.
And put $900 in there.
And
That should make it come out.
balance it.
All right, so assessor, the only real question mark is the servers and computers for Excalibur, right?
Yeah, because we went through her budget, I thought we were done with it for the most part.
Done with that one.
And her capital outlay is what again? The 2,000?
She told you, I don't remember.
I don't think she did say.
I think you asked her.
Well, it would have to be computers, right?
Could be a desk, computers. Oh, I think that's what she did say it could be for, yeah. A computer, they need to get a new computer. One of them could easily $1,000, so maybe more. But she did address that.
All right, parks, this is page 8. So how many people we have there now?
We have 2 full-time people, that's it.
So you have 2 full-time people, and we got $13,000 for HRA?
That was probably the worst-case scenario there, guys.
Well, that seems like it's way worse it could be. For 2 people?
Seems like what? I'm sorry.
It's 13,000 for 2 people? We look back at what has been spent
Well, we're
here.
looking at the worst-case scenario there.
Well, in prior
Well, I think
years,
that's
there were
gotta be
more
lower.
people, right?
Yeah, there were.
So,
That doesn't seem like a realistic figure to me, 13,000.
were there 2 full-time people in last year's fiscal year?
There was 2 full-time and a part-time.
2 full-time and 2 part-time?
1 part-time.
Okay. And the part-time is dispensed even though COVID may be over and the parks may be used more? In other words, are you planning on rehiring the part-time person back?
We were looking at, Steve, a seasonal person possibly, and a part-time seasonal person. So in the summer when it's, or in the spring and summer when it's real busy, we'd have a part-time seasonal person possibly, but there wouldn't be any benefits. And they would, work maybe 6 months, that's it. They wouldn't be working all year.
Well, there have to be some kind of benefits, right?
There'd be no insurance, there'd be no FICA, Social Security.
Craig, if you look at the last 2 fiscal years for
Yeah, I am looking at that.
$400, you got 13,000. That was what was spent. How can it come close to 13,000?
Well, let's just think about this second. We had 2 people.
Well, how many people do you have these other 2 years?
Well, that's not what always was spent by. That was, we put in there what could happen if they used it all.
Well, I know, but why would it be so much more riskier this year?
Well, you wouldn't think it would be.
Well, I know, that's what I'm questioning.
Oh, wait a minute. When I look at, we only budgeted 8,000 back then. Let me check on that item. You're right.
I think it's way off.
You're comparing the 8,000. Yeah, you're right. That's gotta be.
Well, even the 8,000.
Why won't you go to 8,000?
Well, that's what was budgeted. So why are we budgeting 13? Is my question. You're right.
Mostly because the
Well,
board didn't,
We probably
Put
could
their
have
foot
pushed
down.
on there 8,000. But we didn't. We're past that. We're at the 13,000 figure today. So are you gonna look into it and come back with a figure, or should we just lower it down? I don't see where you need more than 1,000, 1,500.
Boy, that's, just don't know what's gonna happen. What if you say 3,000 in there, just to be safe?
What's the census ages of the two?
Can I make it, on the admin side, this is just the admin side, how many employees do you have on the admin side?
One, two, three, four, five, I believe.
But now, is that including the clerk? Because now he's
Oh,
not
I
gonna...
forgot the clerk.
Yeah, but the clerk's not gonna get any health insurance, this call.
No, no,
So we don't have to worry about the HRA.
correct.
Is that 5?
Oh, I think, oh, I see what Steve's saying. So it'll only be the full-time. 1, 2, 3, 4, and myself is 5.
So at 5,
Well,
we're,
you won't be getting either, Craig.
I won't be getting insurance, you're right. We took that out.
there's a, so that we have an HRA elected for, which covers a certain portion for the remaining year, but we have 28.5 for,
Can I go back and just check with my people before we?
well, my point was is that you were gonna be pretty consistent to what that number was,
Okay.
actually. You're, I mean, comparing wise,
Right.
you're pretty close. Because if you have 28.5 divided by 4, that's 7,125 approximately apiece, and you've got 2, that's about $14,000. If in a worst case
In
scenario.
the worst case
In a
scenario,
worst
so
case
that's why I
scenario.
was budgeting, worst case scenario. That could happen with 2 people.
So why is there anything listed for HRA elected for the proposed budget year?
Because I think
Oh,
what
the
was talked about was.
Oh, the 2 months?
Correct.
Right.
But one of those months is already gone. And it's just a half
Well,
month.
but still, we gotta count.
These figures, even if it's the worst case scenario, why would these other, it doesn't add up what we've had these other years. But we've got less employees. I still think that figure is way too high.
I understand what you're saying.
I agree.
Let's say one person majorly gets hurt.
What?
Let's say one person out of there, I have to go back and look at that, but if one person got majorly hurt, and it'll absolutely, I'm just saying, just think about that, it could happen,
Right,
right?
so we're paying half the deductible, right? That's what HRA is. Half of the deductible.
65% of the deductible.
Okay, 65%. And the deductible is what?
I always forget what this is. I think it's $6,100 or $6,200 a person, but they might have family coverage, I don't know. Then it's double that. If you're an individual, it's $6,200, but if you've got family coverage, it's double that. It's $6,200 twice, $12,000 some odd dollars.
No matter how many dependents you have.
Correct. One or 100, doesn't matter.
Well, then it's easy to figure out how many dependents do the 2 parks people have. I thought it was husband and wife, so they're both on.
They could have husband, wife, and child, and they pay more for each of those
Yeah,
options.
but it's just a finite amount. We know what it could be. So the worst case scenario is we're paying 65. The 2 people for parks now are husband and wife, right?
No. What do you mean? 2 people working on parks, 100 husband and wife?
No, it's talking about the family,
You mean family coverage?
family coverage, right?
It's Terry, and who's the other person?
Terry's not in parks, he's in administration. It's, Bill and, Jack.
Terry's in administration, but all he does is for parks.
No, he doesn't hardly do anything for parks. He's more facility maintenance of all the facilities. And the facilities are the townships.
All right, so admin is you, Terry,
Flo, Debbie, receptionist. 1, 2, 3, 5.
so it's really just 4 people after March 17th.
You lost me.
4 people on admin. I'm not going into parks. So if that's
No,
the,
no. There's still 5. Myself. Oh, otherwise you're saying 4. I see what you're saying. Okay.
yeah, okay, so on page 3, why is there the 17,550 for election? Was the clerk on,
No, the clerk is
the clerk was never getting health benefits, right?
right.
Okay, so it's really just you for a month and a half.
So that must be what the total year is, so that's wrong.
Okay, so we can,
We'll check into all these here.
so that figure can go down to what? We're just talking about
Obviously, that can go down.
2 more weeks, since we know you don't have any, right?
Well, unfortunately, I don't want to say this in public, my wife is having some health problems right now. Some major health problems.
Yeah.
So anyways, I'm saying it's going to affect it. It's not going to be real low, it's going to be. But it shouldn't be that high, I agree.
All right, so back to page 8, the HRA can go down, right?
Yeah, and I'll check on that. Let me see what we should come back with.
So you'll have a figure the next time we come.
Right, for the parks.
It's getting close to noon here. Can we cut this short?
Let's just look through parks real quick here and see if you want anything else in parks. I think we're done with assessor, right? So,
Yes, except for that one question mark.
except about computers, right?
So last year is sort of a strange year. It doesn't,
Last year is not a good comparison year because it was a strange year.
but how are things shaping up for this year? Are all the fields going to be used, or what? Or is there going to be some?
No, as far as I know, they're all going to be used this year. And what we just did was we removed the bleachers, or we're removing the bleachers, they're portable. So that there can't be, too many people sitting out there. They're too close together right now. And there's I don't know what the standard is. There's a standard for the team players too, how many they can have. So. But no, the fields are going to be used again this year, for sure.
So why is the food pantry in this, under parks and facilities, and not like considered the town hall or that Whispering Hills thing in the admin part?
We got you. Because it's parks and facilities, see, so it's the facilities costs. That's why they're there.
So security is what?
Security, where do you see that at?
It's a few up on the bottom.
On what page are we on?
8.
That'd be cameras, wouldn't it?
Oh, it's fire alarms. Burglar alarms.
That's it? It's like $800 a month for that?
I'm sure there's other things in there. I'll find out what it is. Could be repair of cameras in there. We pay for monitoring for the, for the fire panels. They call the fire department, they call, even though I think it rings there too, they call someone from here, it's going off. Same with burglar type things. The service that calls, it's going off, It's a 24-hour service.
So for equipment maintenance and vehicle maintenance, none of that stuff is farmed out to the road district, right?
No, that would be our cost.
So, ball field maintenance supplies, even though with COVID it went down to 2/3, 60%, some percent.
Where are we saying ball field?
Page 9.
Page 9.
But you're figuring it'll go back to last year, the year before, 2019 somewhere.
Page 9. Ground maintenance supplies, or ball field maintenance supplies. Yeah, we're figuring it's gonna go back up to previous years once everything gets used.
Is it being used right now?
Yes, it is. They're playing baseball right now. Soccer's coming, football's coming.
Do we have an idea of how much the Torma insurance, what percentage of that goes to parks?
I think they only break it down 3 ways: Steve Town, Road District, and Assessor, I think.
So, how did we figure out on page 11, for general systems, how much of your time was spent on general assistance, even though you're getting paid in a different column? How much of it is attributable to GA?
We broke it down, whatever my percentage was, I don't remember what it was though.
So where does it appear under salaries?
It appears in the footnote, we agreed upon that, at the bottom.
Oh, okay, sorry. How much did you get back from Torma last year on that dividend, what they call dividend?
And I'm not sure, $14,000 range, I believe, somewhere in there.
Then how,
And that goes back to the line item, if you're asking me. To show our true cost.
so, and that's been pretty stable, right?
Yeah, it has been.
So what do you, how is it called? A revenue?
It's not really a revenue, it's a rebate. So we put it back on the line item. So in other words, if you can find it somewhere here. It's risk management, okay?
And that's, sorry, page.
I'm looking at page 3 right now. Okay, so originally we probably had spent more than, we did spend more than $15,404 for premiums, but then when they get the rebate, we take it and put it against the premiums there to lower it. So it shows our true cost.
Okay, right. So maybe that should have an asterisk too. So that the next part, or a double asterisk, so it doesn't get confused with assessor. Includes rebate from prior year. Is it, rebate from prior year is deducted? Or what, how would it go, Mr. Militello?
It looks like what he's saying is that instead of whatever the rebate amount is, it's being set, or it's being put back in the line item. So, for example, if the line item had $28,000 out on it, and $14,000 came back, then you'd have only a $14,000 expense showing in that line
Correct,
item.
because it's a rebate. It's not really, it's not, you can't count upon it either. I mean, what the amount's going to be, because it could vary by year based upon, you know, their total claims. That's how they.
And it's further muddied up because in prior years, the buses came under that, and now they're under their separate. So just so somebody can understand that in the future, the rebate, some kind of a notation about the rebate's already been figured in.
You have two ways to handle it. Is you either add a footnote that says the budgeted item includes proposed rebate included in expense, or you budget for what you think you're truly going to spend in risk management, and then put risk management rebate in the cash revenue. So those are the two ways to handle it.
And I like what your first suggestion. Do what? Budgeted.
Yeah, so you'd be putting an asterisk.
Asterisk. That's the easy way to do it. What were you saying on that?
Just an asterisk that's showing that the risk management budgeted rebate
Risk manager.
is included in the budget, the risk management budget amount.
Rebate is included.
And if you want to get specific and you have an idea of what that,
We never know for sure. That's
Right.
the problem.
So instead of proposed, does it say
Risk management rebate is included.
expected?
Is included in risk management line item.
That's fine.
Okay, let's go back to parks and finish that. Besides the HRA, is there anything else that looks?
So when you say the risk management for the, it really is the trauma insurance, right?
Correct.
So that's a separate bill because just to the parks and these facilities or what?
They give us one bill, okay? And then we ask for their breakdown by department from them, and that's what they give us, or by area.
Okay. So all the buildings for the town,
Can I ask a question? And then, if that's the case, then the risk management rebate that comes back is also, does that also affect this, the money?
Sure, we could divide it up.
Do you know what I'm saying? So
Right.
if that's the case, maybe we just need to put that asterisk to match that.
so it's the same asterisk. But I'm wondering if you made that kind of calculation when you came up with the 9616.
Correct.
You already counted the percentage of the rebate check that you got from
No,
the
not,
big check.
no. Actually, what we end up doing, Steve, is actually we usually ends up costing us a little bit more than that, so it's not included. It's a guesstimate, and then the rebate check goes back to look at the actual last year, 846227. Now utilities have been going up, so that's why we budgeted more.
As long as there applies, I'd question for uniforms, $1,500 for 2 employees.
Let me check on
On
that.
page 8. For the, right after cell phones.
Those are pretty fancy.
So where did that figure come from? Can we lower that?
I would say so.
The thing about this, for me, is that every single dollar that we save this year becomes $2 next year and $3 the year after. So if we can cut those costs now, we're not having to worry about paying for them next year and the year after when the budget starts getting tighter and tighter. Make sense?
Sure, the more you cut, the more reserves you have.
Right.
Exactly.
So this year,
Well, you'll come up with a figure for that.
Yeah, I gotta ask some questions, I don't wanna,
I thought there was discussions in one of those where you possibly looking at another employee in the parks, it's gonna be about $500 a person for uniforms, so that's what, it's 500 times 3.
oh, yeah, the previous chap, okay.
What is the uniform? Are they getting a shirt, do they get shorts, shoes, what do they get?
They get shorts and, not shorts, they get pants and a shirt, they're from, Cintas, it's who supplies uniforms. So it's, they get like maybe,
But we're not supplying like work clothes for them every day, right?
yeah, we are.
Every day we're giving them work clothes?
Yeah, but there is a Cintas, it's a program where they get maybe 2 sets and then Cintas takes them back, gives them 2 fresh sets.
Oh, that's a rental?
Basically, yeah.
Oh.
Well, it's a
Okay, well, last year we
It's a
spent,
service.
well, last year we spent so less than $600, so certainly the figure can be changed.
Well, on the next page, you have clothing, and it's $375. So isn't that basically the same thing?
I don't see it.
On page 7,
In the preceding,
yeah, the preceding page, I'm sorry, yeah.
That's the assessor's office, that's different.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
They buy shirts and stuff to identify
Okay.
who they are, because you want
Sorry
to
about
walk
that.
around your house with,
All right, so it really isn't just uniforms, it's the entire, it's uniforms and then cleaning.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, so if you could just make a note of that, then I don't think it'd be,
Can't we just put a slash uniforms cleaning there?
yeah, right.
Okay,
Then it just makes it more understandable.
okay. What if we just put uniform service? That's what it is,
Yeah, fine.
okay? That makes more sense.
good?
Do they pick up every week, or is it every month, or how does that work out?
I don't know, I don't think it's weekly, it might be bi-weekly, every 2 weeks maybe.
So the cameras and everything, that really isn't maintenance with these buildings or equipment maintenance. It's all under security.
Yeah. Mhm.
Do all those facilities have cameras? Like the WHCC?
They're mostly, yeah, that has a camera inside. The reason being, if someone does damage, we can go back and look at the camera and figure out who it was, because we charge a damage waiver back to them. Somebody has a part and they damage stuff. If you ask them, they're gonna say no, but, but we've got a camera in there just for that purpose.
All right, so when somebody needs uniform police, if they're gonna have alcohol served here,
We don't use uniform police. We use-
that's something else.
Right, it's,
I know last
It's
year there
served
wasn't
some.
any, but what would it have
we
gone
didn't use any last year because of,
the year before? It's a charge back to the people anyway, right? We're not losing money.
right, no, we're charged back with,
Okay, so can you make like a slash cameras, alarms for security, so the next board understands what it is?
Okay.
In the capital outlay on page 9, the 1905. Last year, they came in and said what needed to be bought, and maybe it was
Right.
the year before, so what is that for this time?
You're looking at outlay projects there? On page 9 near the bottom?
No, not, where it says capital outlay in like the middle of the page. It says various. On page 9.
Yeah, I see that.
So, and this is with the park, so what is that? Well, there's another thing to find out.
Oh, no, you know what, I think I know what. Right, I think if we go down to the bottom of the sheet there, I'll find out for sure. Okay, remember there were some items there, we're gonna take out the front desk safety glass, okay. Commercial sink, we decided we could forbear that. When I talked to the parks, they really said those 12 tables are needed, they're ones that are getting dangerous, they could fall on somebody.
So it's a safety issue.
That's a safety issue,
Okay, so that's 1,000, right?
that's 1,000.
And
The new bathroom countertops could come out of there, I don't know why it's still there. They're usable the way they are, we don't have to have new ones.
so does that mean under capital outlay, we can reduce that to 1,000?
No, turn the page. And then ball field repair, they had 5,000. They'd like to put 2,500 in there. You know, dirt. They like to do one field. They decided they don't need to be done every year.
What are they doing?
They're gonna just get like you suggested or whatever, you know, what do you call that? Scratch it or whatever.
Yeah.
And then they would like to buy some ball field mix just for one field, and then they'll alternate between different years.
Actually, I think you probably could get by without doing that.
Well, they're telling me they believe it's a safety issue because otherwise the dirt gets too hard, somebody breaks their leg. I tend to believe that.
We're talking about the infield?
Yeah.
I find it difficult to believe.
Well, that's what they're telling me, that it really works, and it also helps with, make the field dry out quicker. So they're willing to compromise and then take one of them
All
out.
right, first of all, do you think it's even a necessary expense?
I do think that one.
I don't.
Mike doesn't, but
Because we,
In Wonder Lake, we probably haven't put anything on the fields for years.
well, you gotta be loosening dirt over
Well,
there.
you can loosen it and then smooth it back out again.
You still gotta be going down, 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 don't you?
well, all you gotta do is,
All you gotta do is keep the top 2 inches. Matter of fact, if it gets too high, like we had in 1988 where it got so dry, we literally had 2.5 inches of powder, and the ball would hit the ground and literally look like an explosion when they hit it because it
I'm
was
just
so.
telling you, they're telling me they think it's necessary for safety, and I don't wanna argue that one. I know you say it isn't, Mike, but they're the experts, I'm not. Yeah.
Well, he's kind of an expert too. And the thing is, Torma never comes out and inspects anything.
Yes, they do, yes, they do. They come out about every 2 or 3 years and inspect all our equipment and everything.
Okay, so is this a recommendation they made?
It's a recommendation made by the people keeping our fields.
I know, but now we're getting like an independent
You're getting split,
person
you're
that's
splitting
on the
hairs.
hook for the safety.
Splitting hairs here, so they just feel it's necessary to do that every so often.
Well, at any rate, the total capital outlay, even if we accept the 2,500, that comes down to 3,500, right?
I gotta make sure that that's what that all is. I think that is. I think do we have that much more in there before? Maybe we did, I don't know. It's another question I have to ask. I think that makes sense, Steve, but I gotta make sure that's what it is.
All right, so if it, you're going to have some reduction when we come back for capital outlay variance, right?
I believe so, yes.
Well, the only explanation is that there's some big ticket thing that isn't on here.
Well, that's what I'm to find out, if I don't believe there is. I think we had a bunch of stuff in here before, and did that come up to 19? It could have easily, I don't know. I don't have the old one.
So then can we dispense with the things we're definitely not going to get
Yeah, I said we would.
on the next budget, or the next draft of it,
We're not doing the bathroom counter. That's the only thing.
or the breakfast bar cabinet?
Isn't it the same thing? That's already taken out.
I know, but it's still on here.
Oh, you just want them taken off that period?
Yeah, it's confusing. It's like, well, what is it? Or how much is it? But it's nothing. So
Oh, I see what you're saying, because we're not doing it, take it off.
So front desk safety glass out, commercial sink glass out.
Okay.
And then, if there's nothing for equipment or vehicle on that, then,
Let me check on that one.
Okay.
Maybe there could be something in there, but I don't know that.
now in general systems, the interest income. Okay.
That's just based upon general assistance.
So there's a separate account
Yes, there is.
that's either a money market or an IRA, or a
Or
CD,
Right,
that you expect to get 1,000 for.
right.
But that means there's 100,000 in some reserve fund.
You have 400,000.
There's 400,000 in there.
$489,000.
But that was because we used to spend 275 to 300 a year with emergency. We'll spend that down now.
So for salaries, you have 2 part-time, but that's really, those are 2 full-time people working half-time for general systems.
No, we'd like to add a part-time person, another one.
Right, so when you look back at the actual on the salary for general systems, what does that figure represent? Is that half of Debbie?
That's to be half of Debbie, and then another part-time person to help with paperwork. It's just a tremendous amount of paperwork.
So Debbie's over 88,000.
No, that's 2 part-time in there. So
Well,
and the other years it was high because we had another part-time person there.
okay, but how many people did you have last year?
Steve, we get hundreds of calls.
No, I'm talking about employees.
Oh, last year?
Well, you let someone left, right?
Yeah, somebody left during the year.
And that was a full-time person.
No, that wasn't a full-time person. That was maybe 3/4 person, I don't know.
All right, so when you say 2 part-time people,
Debbie part-time and hiring one more part-time person, maybe,
so it's a 1/2 full-time person,
yes.
and then,
A half of another part-time person.
Well, how have you been able to do it?
Debbie's putting in extra hours to get it done, so am I, so we just can't.
But without general assistance, there's much less work, isn't there?
Not really. Really, the general assistance part is the easier part.
I'm sorry, emergency assistance.
Emergency assistance is the easier part, because if they don't qualify for general assistance, then you can address certain needs that are emergency assistance. But you don't have, you've got to get all this paperwork, all these applications. It's just a ton of work. I know.
And we're still doing the Salvation Army thing, right?
Yeah, that takes 2 seconds. It's just, you just fill out a coupon.
I mean,
It's very.
I'm always nervous about this business of doing stuff for a separate religion, okay? Because then other people come in and say, you do it for that, now you gotta do it for us.
I understand that, but it's not a big deal. It's just.
It's not a big deal now, but it could become a tremendous deal.
Salvation
All right,
Army in
so-
this county is the one that provides a lot of assistance, so.
So this HRA, when do you expect to have this person? This part-time?
I'm waiting for a budget to get passed before I do anything. But it wouldn't affect them anyways, that would only be.
Well, yeah, it would affect them, because if you're expecting to hire somebody, then that we have to take that into account.
No, it wouldn't affect our HRA because they're not gonna have one.
Oh, as a part-time person, okay, right.
Craig, I know in the past you've been very responsible with starting salaries. What would this person be getting as a starting salary?
$14, $15 an hour, somewhere in there.
Any way you can be less?
Pretty hard, you gotta have somebody with, I mean, McDonald's is paying $12.
Well, you're training, this is a training position. You could start out
We
a
could do
little
that.
bit lower, and
Yeah, we could.
once they get to a certain point
We
of
could do-
knowledge,
We could do that.
because I think that's another place for every single dollar.
Yeah, okay. That's something that could be considered. We gotta offer attractive enough wages so they'd wanna do the job. It's gotta be above minimum wage, and minimum wage keeps going up.
What is the minimum wage now?
Good question. It changed in July and it's changing changing again in January. It's getting close. It might be $10 an hour, close to it. It might be more.
Are you looking for a young person or somebody a little bit older?
Well, we're an equal opportunity employer, so everybody could apply. Okay.
Because I think, I don't know, there's 2 ways to look at it. I mean, you could have a very young person that says, okay, I'd like to learn what's going on, and the attraction is the ability to learn.
Right.
And then there's somebody like us who are old, and they're just trying to make some money to pay their taxes.
Right. Well, I think Mr. Willetell, I can't tell you I'm looking for one or the other, according to the law, okay? We would base it upon who we thought would have the best abilities to do it.
From my point of view is, look, there's really only one mandated job for the supervisor.
Steve, I know, you think I should do all the general assistance. I don't have time. I'm doing budgets. Who's doing that? I am. Who's doing all kinds of things? I am.
The budgets only go for a certain number of months.
It takes a long time, not just budgets,
Well, that's just another example of government overreach then, okay? Now there's too much for you to do.
well, then that's government standards that are given me. I can't. You're right, maybe you're right. I
It's
don't know.
$11 for the state of Illinois.
It's $11 right now for the state of Illinois.
All right, so by this 2020-21 actual as of March 31st, that means the entire year last year, you gave out $82.30 in general assistance.
Correct.
but we're budgeting 50,000.
Because in past years we have, so 23,000 in 1920.
And this doesn't include, those past years don't include general assistance. I'm sorry, emergency assistance.
No, that's down further, if you look on there. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, it is.
You mean it isn't? These are just straight general assistance figures, and below that is just the emergency assistance.
Correct, correct.
Okay. So, the 50,000, I assume the new board is going to just say, yeah, I'll go back to doing it the old way.
I don't know that.
Well, they've already said so, okay?
Okay.
All right, so, does it excess in our 50,000 column under proposed? But that'll just get eaten up with the emergency.
It stays in emergency assistance, or in general assistance.
Whatever's not spent.
Stays right there.
Yeah, so you have a general assistance fund, so whatever's not spent within the general assistance fund gets carried forward to the next year. So that's why that page 1 is important, because you see what the total, yeah.
Right. Yes, very important. All right, so then you'll correct that data processing one for the $100?
That's on general assistance or something?
Yeah, down here, remember?
I forgot already.
That was the one with the $100.
Oh, yeah.
It'll be whatever the actual.
Something's not right there, I don't think.
Do you have any idea why it came down so much? The emergency assistance from the last different board in 2018-19 to the first year, or really even last year? Because we made it go to the end of the year, didn't we?
Yeah, we did. Less people applying or qualifying for it, Steve, that's all I can tell you. Now, especially this last year, okay? The county has all this money now available. So a lot of them are going there, which who might have been coming here before. The county has what, 9 million now? They just have another 7 million, I think. Because a lot of times we would help out with rents, okay? We wouldn't do, if we were even doing emergency assistance right now, we would not do that. We would send that to the county because they've got all this money where people can apply. So that would be the reason it probably came down last year, that part of those programs are already going on. Or that was the last year. Oh, wait, another reason, we didn't do it all last year. You cut it out at some point in time.
Well,
so that's not a full year, that was cut out at some juncture. Remember, sometime last year we cut it. I don't remember when.
oh, okay. So actually, the 2018-19 budget was done by this board, you guys, not the prior board, when it was 116. So, but there's hardly any difference between,
Well, I don't know why we're talking about it, because it's not included anyway, so.
there's a missing year in it.
Where's the missing year? For proposed, we got it from 2019, 2018.
Yeah, well, so there's only a look back of 3 years instead of 4. I thought we had that.
Just six, the same.
It always went back 4 years, and then our current year and prior
No,
budget.
it was always done. No, it's always been three.
Okay,
Because we dropped the one column and they had a column. Okay, so I'll look at data processing equipment and see what's wrong there maybe.
so where are we at with the road commissioners budget?
All I can tell you is the email he sent me and he sent you.
So do we need to go into executive session?
We can, I'm not sure, there's nothing we're gonna be able to do, but we
Well-
just wanna talk about it.
There's a lot of deadlines coming up, so I think we need to talk about what the stimulation is needed to get the budget from the road district commissioner.
I think we could talk about that right here.
We could talk about it.
I don't think we have to go to executive session. Mr. Miltel, you're familiar with the laws.
The,
All right, so when does the clerk have to put in this budget?
the road district needs to get the budget to the clerk. The clerk needs to then publish the document at least 30 days prior to the final hearing date or the hearing date. So it's a function, the last day, so it's clear is the fiscal, end of the fiscal year. Your fiscal year is the first quarter of the fiscal year. So yeah, the first fiscal year would be end of June. So in the worst case scenario, that would be May 28th, 29th would be the last day for the highway commissioner to get it to the clerk, for the clerk then to get it published. There's 2 days there, so I would think the newspaper's gonna need 2 days. So worst case scenario, I would think May 28th would be the last day for the road district to submit it to the clerk.
But the statute allows the Board of Trustees
To
to have a hearing on it, and to
Correct.
adopt a tentative budget.
Correct, so what happens is, the road district gives the budget appropriation ordinance to the clerk. Clerk's like, okay, thank you, makes it available, so he sets it over here, makes it available for anybody to come into the office and to look at it and review it. He publishes it in the paper and says, look, a copy of the road district budget and appropriation ordinance is available at the clerk's office between whatever time period, and that is then available for the next 30 days. 30-day period comes, that final date is for hearing. This board, or whatever the board is at the time, reviews the budget and appropriation ordinance and makes a determination to approve it, or approve those pieces that are necessary and appropriate for the highway department. And that is where that board would then make line item changes to that budget and appropriation ordinance. That's why it's always encouraged that the road district meets with and has discussions with the board in advance, so that it's not all done at that meeting.
So in effect, what you're saying is this road district commissioner can bypass the current board.
He could bypass the future board too, relative to reviewing his tentative budget and appropriation ordinance. So whatever board comes on in the future, he doesn't even have to give them his budget and appropriation ordinance.
Well, then who approves it?
Yeah.
If it's
So,
not this board or
good,
the other
good.
board?
But then the township board could go through it.
So then at that hearing date, so let's say hearing date is June 15th, or June, let's say June 28th. So let's say hearing date is June 28th. The board, in effect at that time, would then go through his budget and appropriation ordinance, and they could make comment as to specific line items and decrease those items if they felt that it wasn't necessary. And at that meeting, then that board would, in effect, would then approve either all of it or some part of it that they deem necessary.
But you said that
the future board doesn't have to approve it. I don't understand what you said.
Oh, good question. Just so I clarify, the new board, the future board, yes, has to approve the final budget and appropriation
Right,
ordinance.
that's what I thought.
Yeah, that's true. The future board does not necessarily get his tentative budget and appropriation ordinance. So he doesn't have to give this to them to look at it and have discussions about it. He just gives it to the clerk. Clerk then has the hearings, and then at that board meeting, the board then would approve it.
And Jim, what I sent you too is that we're also talking about a tentative budget.
Correct.
And so explain that to me too, about that,
Okay.
when I sent it to you from the audit, that it said that this board is supposed to approve a tentative budget by April 30th, in the same way with the road district budget. So what is that about?
So what that means is, a tentative budget is just this document in a board saying, we're finalizing our document. We think this is our tentative budget and appropriation ordinance. The auditor is encouraging, they say April 30th, but it's not actually a date that's in the statute or a date that's required. It just needs to be done before the final. So at some point in time, whether it's this board or the next board, you approve what you've done here and say, yep, this is good enough. This is a tentative budget and appropriation ordinance. You give it to the clerk, just like the road district gives his tentative budget and appropriation ordinance to the clerk, and that clerk then publishes it, same thing, 30 days notice out in advance, and then you have the hearing. And then at that hearing, the board has the opportunity to approve or disapprove the line items on the budget.
So with that being said, then in my mind, that we really are way behind. That from when I read this from the audit, that we should already have a tentative budget ready to approve.
You could adopt the tentative budget today, you could adopt it next week. Just time-wise, you're still fine, because it still needs to be adopted before the end of June. So hypothetically, let's say next week at your...
We really need to finish this up next week.
Let's say May 3rd is your next date, or whatever the day is. So May 3rd comes, it gets approved. Now you have a document, you give it to the clerk and say, we have a tentative budget and appropriation ordinance. The clerk then publishes it and puts it out there. So it goes out 30 days beyond the date of that May 3rd date. And then the board in place at that time would then approve it.
So then, Craig, as a supervisor, are you going to come with a recommendation that we get?
And the road district treasurer.
Well, yeah, but my question is not about the road district. Okay, now, with you being the leader of the board, what time frame do you have that you'd like to see this board approve the tentative budget, or is it going to drag on longer than that?
I'd like to get this approved, guys, next week if we can, be done with it.
That's the town budget.
The town, this,
So that would be your recommendation, that we should be able to pull this together and get this
unless you're telling me there's,
as a tentative budget next Monday?
if you guys, as long as you're telling me there's no other items you need me to come
I
back.
do have one conflict in the morning on next Monday.
Okay, so we make a.
Could we do it Tuesday or Wednesday? I'm good either of those days, or afternoon on Monday. I just have a problem in the morning on Monday.
To me, it'd be better in the afternoon,
I could do it in the
if the rest of the
afternoon.
trustees can do it.
Now, what actually has to be published?
Notice. So the notice would say that the Mchenry Township Board has approved a tentative budget and appropriation ordinance for the fiscal year of 2021 to 2022. A copy of the budget and appropriation ordinance is available for public inspection at the clerk's office, located blah, 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 within such and such a time frame if you wanted to. The hearing for the meeting is going to be on such and such a date. You can put the hearing date on there. So whatever you have to put out there a hearing
It's
of
30 days.
30 days in advance, correct.
And then for my end, I would like to think that we could approve this next Monday.
I would hope we can.
And as far as the road district, I don't think we're going to have a say in that at all, from what I'm hearing.
I think we went through the whole thing pretty well. It's just those
I think we've gone
those
through it.
couple couple of small
We've
changes.
gone through everything, haven't we, gentlemen?
Right, yeah, I thought so, yeah.
We can't keep,
I agree with
we gotta be done.
Bob, let's get this thing done.
So that'd be my goal to get it done next
I think
week.
my goal too.
Then why can't the board approve a final budget?
Because you have to, once you have a tentative budget, you have to then publish it in the paper 30 days in advance, and then at that public hearing meeting, the general public have an opportunity to come and comment, as well as the board, on the tentative budget and appropriation ordinance. And then, after that's done, then the board would then approve it.
The time of this board is running out by that time. So can the rest of the trustees make it Monday afternoon?
What's the date of that? May what?
May 3rd. 1 o'clock, 1:30, whatever's good for the board.
Whatever time you want to set.
You wanna say 1:30?
1:30.
1:30 is okay with me?
Yeah, Mr. Miltel, we're gonna both set, or we'll get us both sets of minutes by that time. Yeah.
And then we'll have the minutes at that time to approve?
From this last week and this week.
I'll have them together.
Is everybody's going to be done next week, I hope?
Pardon me?
Everybody in agreement we're going to be done?
Yes,
From our end of it, I don't see why we can't get it to the tentative budget approved by next Monday.
Neither do I. Mike, you feel that? Okay. Stan?
yes, absolutely.
Steve, you feel we can get it done next week?
I think we could have done it today if we had the figures right. So, next Monday.
Well, those were questions you hadn't asked me in the past. So.
So then, with that said, I will make a motion to end
So
this meeting.
there's no
Hold on.
clerk, there's no
Hold on.
clerk here, so how could, who's gonna do it? When we do it next Monday, because Dan is.
He'll be back by next week.
Board comment.
Hold on a second.
Oh, that's right.
Still have a discussion.
Or the agenda to go through. So, yes.
Tentative budget appropriation is continued till next week.
Okay, tentative budget appropriation ordinance. We're going to continue that till next week. Okay, any board comments? Okay, we need a motion to adjourn.
Then I'll make the motion to end this meeting at 12:58.
12:54.
54, right? Yeah.
Okay, I'll second the motion. A roll call vote, Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Rakestraw?
Yes.
Mr. Adams, yes. Mr. Beard?
Yes.
And Mr. Wojciechowski?
Yes.
Okay, next meeting is May 3rd at 1:30.
1:30.
Okay, you have time to be
I think
I just want to go through, probably better notes than I did. Probably shouldn't do it here.
I just threw it in here. No, I thought that you gave that to me.
Because the way the statute
Unless
reads,
it came in
his job is
this
to
morning.
get to the clerk. But from a working together standpoint, this board then approves the budget appropriation if that deems necessary. So instead of having all those discussions at a meeting, you can do that now.
Resolution is gonna be on the final meeting of the board, right?
Yes.
That'll be at the second.
Okay.
Did you want to talk about it now?
Yes.
Steve, I'll meet you out at the park.
Okay.
has left the meeting.